Hey everybody, this is Tom. It is 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time here on the East Coast. Where else would you want to have Eastern Time? Well, of course, it's inland. It's not just coastal. And there is a time zone, one time zone east of us, up in Newfoundland or someplace like that, Nova Scotia, someplace in Canada. A little more to the northeast, jutting out even more into the Atlantic. Our Canadian friends up there. And I'm doing an autumn wind draft recap show, which I said I wouldn't do this year. But I didn't want to do one publicly, so I'm doing one privately. And I'll make it publicly available starting next weekend, which is the first weekend of the football season, of the NFL season. There's a Thursday night game this week, Philadelphia against, I want to say, Atlanta, but I'm not positive about that. But to me, the season really starts with the first Sunday of the NFL season. I feel like I might even forget that the Thursday night game is on this year. Especially with no one on any of my teams that I don't already know about who's playing in that game. Like if I had Carson Wentz on one of my teams, and if he was going to play this week, which we still don't know if he will or not, recovering from the ACL injury, I would watch the game probably almost certainly to see how we did, at least the first half, certainly. But I don't really have anybody related to those teams who I don't already know about. I've got Julio Jones and Deion Jones, and I've got Derek Barnett. I just drafted him on the Eagles, but even so. Anyway, so we're doing autumn wind draft recap show, and I've done these for a couple of years now. I started doing Strat-O-Matic football shows. Well, I don't know when. I'd have to look, but it feels like at least 3 years ago, maybe longer. 3 or 4 years, maybe. I don't know. And started out I don't know what we did first, but broadcasting Strat football playoff games, then doing draft recap shows and season preview shows and stuff like that, usually with Dennis Crowley, my broadcasting partner and good friend. And I put a lot of work into my rookie research. And I enjoy evaluating young players, scouting young players, drafting young players by far more than anything in the online Strat football community in terms of the game. I enjoy the social part of it too. I enjoy posting on the forums and talking back and forth with guys that way and emailing and all that stuff. But like actually playing the game, I don't really get pumped up for the games. Sometimes they're actually kind of a pain in the neck. It's like, I got to play a game, I got to schedule a game. But the drafting, the roster building, the franchise building, that's what I enjoy doing the most. So last couple of years, I've done the autumn wind draft recap show, and that draft takes place 1 week before the SOMIFA draft. SOMIFA is a league I've been in for like 15 years. I've only been in autumn wind a few years. And SOMIFA is my number. SOMIFA and SSFA are my number one leagues. They're the leagues that are most important to me. And 2 years ago, it looked like some of the opinions I was giving in the autumn wind draft recap show may have had some impact on one or two selections in the SOMIFA draft, where guys who looked like they would not normally take a certain type of player now took that player ahead of where I would have taken him and I would have gotten him. And sure, guys change the way they do things and this and that, but I've known some of these guys a long time. I was like, this guy would never take this player. What's going on here? And it was a player that I had spoken very highly of in the autumn wind draft recap show, which was only a week earlier. So some of the SOMIFA guys were in autumn wind, some of them aren't even in autumn wind. They're listening to the show anyway. Now it's funny, when I first was doing these shows 4 or 5 years ago, I was really, I'm pretty unbearable as it is, but I was really unbearable back then, And as far as feeling like I do everything about the rookies and the young players and being quick to criticize everyone's picks and stuff like that. And I do a lot of research on the young players. I do feel like I can give you an informed opinion on most of the young players. I do feel like I'm pretty good at evaluating the young players. But, I'm certainly not perfect, number one. I certainly make plenty of mistakes, number one. I've done a bad job with my autumn win team the last 2 years in drafting. Last year was a nightmare or a disaster, which I learned from. You can make mistakes. It's good if you can learn something from them and then hopefully not make them as often in the future. We'll see if that happens with me here. And I was talking about my left being a loudmouth. That's right. And also, other guys just, don't have as much time as I've had to put into this for the last few years. Guys working and they're married with kids and this and that. And not everyone can watch video highlights and scour down articles on, an undrafted free agent battling for the 6th defensive back spot on the Tennessee Titans or whatever. Okay. And I might have some changes forthcoming in my life in the next year that makes Strat-O-Matic have to go on the back burner a little bit. But all those things are all right now nowhere close to happening. Some stuff I'm thinking about doing. So maybe trying to pursue a career and get back in the workforce or something like that. I have a disability. I'm a quadriplegic. I can't use my hands, as most people know. But in case you don't know that is the case. I was injured in a car accident when I was in the military when I was 19. Anyway, that was a long time ago. Anyway, it was so long ago, Tremont Williams remembers it. We'll get into that soon. But anyway, so I was feeling like I love talking about the young players. I love doing the shows with Dennis. I like giving my full opinion on the young players. Guys seem to respond to that and like that, good, bad, or ugly. We need to get some sound effects back. I might look into that for the next Samifa show, figuring out how to do that. There's a video guy over there in one of Ed's spring leagues who's expert in those types of things. I may enlist his aid. So there was a talk, okay, well, instead of not doing a show, why can't you just release the show next week? So my Samifa draft isn't ruined when I have selections 14 and 15. I said, well, it seems weird to me, but a couple of guys said like they would be up for that. So I said, okay, I guess the guys who like the shows and listen will watch it and listen even next weekend. And the guys who don't like the shows will not. Well, they're going to watch it anyway, right? So what the hell? So I'll try one. I'm probably going to try to make it a little shorter than usual. This time I think I mean it. I always feel like I want to do that, but I never do. So part of what's hard here, I think, I'm doing the show by myself because if Dennis is here, he's going to hear my opinions on players, and he has picks next weekend. And that sounds awfully arrogant, and I admit I do get a little arrogant with this. I don't mean to, but it's obvious. There's no way that anyone, if you put on one of these shows for 10 minutes, this guy's arrogant about young players. I don't mean to be, but I'm not going to sit there and lie and say that it's not true. It's obviously true. If you listen, how could I? What's the legal standard? There's no reasonable observer who could argue against that or whatever. There's a word, the reasonable something. I remember in college, Jim Riley, if he was listening, would know. The standard of the reasonable observer is the reasonable observer. Jim's a lawyer. I don't recall. Anyway, so normally with Dennis knows which teams are supposed to be good and aren't supposed to be good for the year because he's always trying to be good for the year. So he's always on the lookout for competitors. So he knows, who he's up against in the playoffs and things like that. Dennis, I think, has won 2 straight autumn win championships. And is on like a 30-game winning streak or something in autumn win and is trying to win his 3rd. In case you're just joining us, he's pretty good at this game. So I'm going in the other direction with my team. I'll get to my team in a little while. But I'm in the 5th year of a 4-year rebuilding plan, which is never good. So partially because of Andrew Luck's injury, but I also have not done a good job in the last 2 years with this team drafting, particularly. And if you're trying to build through the draft and you do a bad job drafting, it's usually going to hurt the franchise. Even if Luck had been healthy, I don't think the team would be very good this year. They're probably similar to what they have been, which is a 6-10, 7-9, 8-8 type of team. But this year, we're going all out for the future, more so than ever before. And I thought I might go 0-16, but none of you guys would take C.J. Anderson off of me. I'm stuck with C.J. Anderson. His card is not great, but it's good enough with my offensive line and some of my receivers that I might now win a couple of games. Don't make me draft 6th, please, with a horrible team. That should be drafting like 2 or 3. But we'll see what happens. Whatever. I always play to win. I'm not going to, if I'm going for the future, I'm not investing pieces to compete for the year. I'm not doing that. I'm trading away anyone that I think may have reduced value in the future. But once a game starts, once we flip the coin and kick it off, I coach to win every game. I don't believe in tanking that way. And if I build a horrible team and for the year, so be it. But I still always try to win. I still always try to win every game. And I think every guy who's coached against me knows that. Even when I have my lousy rebuilding teams, I'm still coaching. All right, so Paul Power. He's got the power. Had the first pick of the draft. I think we'll go down the first round real quick. And then we'll try to go through the team-by-team thing. Paul's Detroit, and I know that Paul traded away Phillip Rivers for a whole bunch of stuff to Paul Mankiewicz. He's got a real good team now this year. Paul already knowing he had the first pick in the draft, and he used that to take Deshaun Watson. Watson is pretty much the consensus number 1 in all the Strat leagues this fall. One of the guys, Zeb, was a very good coach and GM, took Patrick Mahomes ahead of Watson in Strat-28. So really, if you're going to talk about Watson, you kind of have to talk about Mahomes. I mean, the two of them are linked right now in Strat-O-Matic land. Similarly to how Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota were linked in the NFL draft and in the Strat drafts. Even though Winston and Mariota were 1-2 in the NFL, Watson and Mahomes they were like 10 and 12 or something like that. They weren't even top 5 picks. So it shows you how much the values change in 1 year from the NFL to Strat-O-Matic, right? If you redid the 2017 NFL draft, Deshaun Watson's not going 10th or 12th or whatever. He's there was Mitchell Trubisky was the first quarterback taken there, and he's the 3rd quarterback taken in pretty much every Strat draft this fall. We'll see what happens to him this year. So anyway, Deshaun Watson, I like Deshaun Watson a lot. I feel like he's a tough guy to gauge because he makes it look so easy. I like his vision. I don't think he locks into his receivers too quickly. He has a tendency to kind of like look down the middle of the field or like tilt his head just like slightly to one side. So you can't really get a good idea of where he's looking to throw the football. When he does look in the direction and delivers it, he's got good accuracy. I wish his downfield arm was a little stronger, but you watch his highlights from his rookie year, and he just makes the game look easy. So it's kind of hard to criticize a guy like that. Like, this guy he just makes it look easy. You got to be concerned about injuries. He's had 2 ACLs now. He had one in college. I think on the other knee. I'm not positive. He had 2 torn ACLs in the last 3 or 4 years. That's a big deal. However, even though Deshaun can run, and he showed that in the NFL last year, I think he's a very good pocket passer. I don't think he needs to run to be a good NFL quarterback. So I had him number 1 over Mahomes. But if someone wanted to take Mahomes, I would not argue against that. But it's interesting. I didn't super scout these guys because I didn't have any picks to get them. But I do like Watson. I'm glad I didn't have to choose. It's agony, I think, sitting at 1 and 2 and having to choose between 2 young quarterbacks. The old Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf situation. But certainly, hey, look, if you don't have a quarterback, for your franchise, and you got the first pick in the draft, Watson is fine. Or Mahomes, I would also argue, is fine. Michael Reeves traded up from number 3 to number 2. So Paul got his quarterback, Paul Power, in Deshaun Watson. Michael Reeves traded up from the 3 to 2 with the LA Rams and drafted Patrick Mahomes. Made a trade with David Will, who apparently has an aversion to young quarterbacks, although in this case he has Jameis Winston already on his team. I'm almost certain that that is correct. He does have Jameis Winston on his team, and is apparently not as concerned about the off-the-field issues as some other people might be, or maybe he didn't like Mahomes that much. Mahomes is really a fascinating guy. Like Watson, I think we all feel like, yeah, Watson's going to be at least good, and maybe sensational. We don't know. It's so hard with a young quarterback to say, oh yeah, this guy is going to be, a multiple Super Bowl winner, Hall of Fame, automatic top 3 or 4 quarterback in the NFL. It's so hard to say. Look at a young quarterback and say, yeah, he's going to reach the Tom Brady, Drew Brees level, the Aaron Rodgers level. It's very hard to look at that. So I kind of apply a Matt Ryan standard. It's like, all right, Matt Ryan's pretty good. If I had Matt Ryan as my draft franchise quarterback for his whole career, I'm like, all right, cool. I got a pretty good quarterback. I can go to war with him every year. Matthew Stafford, right? That's good enough. So I think like sometimes guys would go, oh, I like this guy better, like that guy better. I feel like, as long as the guy is good enough, who cares? I don't care. I don't know. That's a fan thing, I guess, but I don't care. Just give me a guy who's good enough. Because most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you have to be able to coach to win in draft football. If you can't coach, I can give you the best quarterback. You're probably going to lose. Okay? I'll take a slightly worse quarterback and a good coach than a great quarterback and a bad coach in draft football, and probably in the NFL as well, maybe. I don't know. It's trickier. There's that relationship. How much of it is the coach and how much of it is the QB, right? Walsh and Montana had each other, right? Brady and Belichick had each other, right? We'll never know how good those guys would have been apart. Although Montana did pretty good in Kansas City while banged up and an older guy. So Mahomes is really interesting to me because his natural talent is off the charts. He has a great arm. He throws a tremendous bomb, and he loves to throw it. He takes chances. He's a gambler. Some guys throw around the gunslinger word a little too easily with some of these quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is definitely a gunslinger. And usually that means interceptions, right? And now he's a young quarterback starting for the first time. We might see quite a few interceptions this year. His interception rate in college percentage really wasn't that bad when I looked at it, which surprised me. And his completion percentage was high, which is good. They say it's hard to develop accuracy in the NFL if you don't already have it. So I like Mahomes. I'm in on Mahomes. I like him better here in the 30-team league because it's harder to get a starting quarterback, and I feel confident he will be a long-term starting quarterback. In the 2014 leagues, I'm a little more concerned about him because of the possibility that people have said, which I don't know for sure it's going to happen, but the possibility that he's going to be an interception-prone quarterback. We live in a low turnover era, and I think it's very hard to live with an interception-prone quarterback. Of course, Rick Barnes will say, Tom, I had Vince Ferragamo in 1980, and he won the Super Bowl with a horrible interception card. Well, all I can tell you is that Rick is a great coach, and he had the only excellent pass defense in the league, and did a great job with that team. I still think he would have done better with Gary Danielson. Rick, he could have won the Super Bowl more easily. It beat me only 14-13 in the playoffs. Might have won by more with Gary Danielson. But anyway, and the one win is a league there's no dump off, so the big play some people say is more important. But we live in this era with the high completion percentage guys, and the linebacker and pass coverage isn't very good. If you had a good flat pass quarterback and go 3 wide, you could probably hurt people. It's a changing landscape, I think, in Strat right now because of the depletion, if that's the right word, because of the seeming reduction in outside linebacker pass coverage ability and the introduction of the slot corners. I would argue the first point is more impactful than the second. And I've seen teams. We had a guy to meet for win the World Series. God no, win the Super Bowl last year, going 3 wide with Brian Hoyer. He did have Jordan Howard, very good rushing card. Going 3 wide with Brian Hoyer and some good receivers and just flat passing his way down the field. He was very, very tough to stop. Believe me, I was on the receiving end, I think, of the regular season. And Dennis was in the playoffs. Dennis lost the playoffs. The guy had some good breaks against Dennis, but it's still, it can be a tough team to stop. So in order to win plays, wide die 6, they don't play dump off, so the flat pass can really be king. It's but then other people say, yeah, but maybe you want the big play. Get his run to set the pass more because there's no dump off. It's an interesting time in Strat-O-Matic, and it's probably even more impactful in order to win because they don't play dump off. Despite the pass happy era we are in the NFL. So I'm not sure exactly how the next couple of years are going to play out. We'll see it this year. Last year was first year I saw somebody really trying something different. And I think we've seen even a greater reduction in linebacker pass coverage this year. This year's set. I think that will be with us to stay. The Strat wants you blitzing those outside linebackers the way that the NFL does, like Nick Perry. We have guys spending 60 snaps a year in coverage and 400 rushing the passer. Strat says, yeah, we're not going to give them better than a 0 or a 4 in pass coverage. So tricky time for a GM and a coach with all this stuff going on. So Michael traded up and gave a couple of 4th-round picks to move from 3 to 2 and grab Patrick Mahomes. I say good for him. I had watching Mahomes far ahead of Mitchell Trubisky on here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'll tell you why right now. Okay. First of all, let me say Mitchell Trubisky with the naked eye. I think he looks pretty good. I don't mind him. I actually kind of like watching him play. He's athletic. He throws a nice-looking ball. Who doesn't in the NFL? Usually, if you're an NFL starting quarterback, usually you throw a pretty nice-looking ball, especially if you're like a guy who gets drafted in the top 10. Here's our draft pick, number 5 in the draft. We like the wobble on his football. No, it doesn't happen that way. Okay, so if you're drafted in the top 10, certainly you're drafted in the first round, you better throw a pretty ball. Jeez. Well, Chad Pennington was a first round pick, late first round, but anyway. So anyway, I've written extensively about the ESPN total QBR rating, and what I find is when I do these shows and I do these writings, people will sometimes take out one thing and take it out of context and say this is the argument that Tom is making, and it's not the argument Tom is making. And usually I can then point out to them how erroneous they are, particularly if they listen to a certain part of the show. So let's get one thing clear. I'm not a fan of ESPN's total QBR statistic for rating quarterback seasons in general. I don't care what Tom Brady's total QBR is. I don't care what Phillip Rivers is. I don't care what Matt Ryan is. I don't care what Russell Wilson is. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. I'm not in love with the statistics, with the statistic on a year in, year out basis for quarterbacks who have already established themselves. Okay? I don't need ESPN total QBR to tell me whether Matthew Stafford is good or not. I don't. I don't think anyone does who watches football for more than 10 minutes or whatever, has some experience as a football fan. However, ESPN wrote an article, I don't know how many years ago now, 4, 5, 6 years ago, around the time, what is going on here? My voice program just is purging itself. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds alarming. Are we still on the air here? Here we are. Let me see if this works. Hold on. Microphone off. Everything's fine. My voice program doesn't like PDF files, and I've got those up from the fine work that Claude does every year, making those available to us extremely quickly during the draft and immediately after the draft. Of course, this is the first 5 rounds of the auto-win draft. We do the other 5 rounds in a couple of weeks. I'd rather do it all in one day. I know it's a lot of work for the guys, but whatever. Anyway, We'll be back in a couple of weeks with around 6 through 10. No show for that. So anyway, so ESPN did this article like 4 or 5 years ago, around the time they introduced the ESPN Total QBR system, QBR rating system, whatever the hell it stands for. And they try to factor in all kinds of things, such as, you know, if you get a 5-yard completion on 3rd and 8, they don't give you a lot of credit for that compared to a 5-yard completion on 3rd and 5 or an 8-yard completion on 3rd and 8. Things like that. You know, if you're, you know, getting a 3rd down conversion in the 4th quarter of a tie game gives you more points than getting a 3rd down conversion in the 4th quarter of a game that you're losing 31-10. So they try to do all kinds of things like that. It's a secret formula, just like Colonel Sanders' herbs and spices. No one knows exactly what it is, and they tweak it a lot. But when they unveiled it, one of the things that they touted in this article I've read, and I can't find it anymore. They removed it or whatever. I've never been able to find it, but I promise you it was there, and I read it, and I have applied it, is that they retroactively applied it going back to the late 90s, I would say. Late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around there. And what they discovered was that there's a demarcation point in their ESPN Total QBR system. I believe it was 42.7, where under specific parameters, a quarterback who exceeded that number during the first 20 starts of his career, if they took place during the first 2 years of his career, went on to be successful, defining successful very broadly. You know, Joe Flacco was considered successful by that, you know, at that time, okay? Now we all hate him. But a few years ago, we would have said, oh, Joe Flacco's pretty good, okay? And this system had correctly predicted whether quarterback would be successful or unsuccessful long-term in like 18 of 19 instances. Only one quarterback failed the metric and became successful, and that was either Eli Manning or Joe Flacco. I don't remember who. Neither of whom we're in love with now, but we would all say they had successful NFL careers. And I don't think there were any quarterbacks that they predicted for success who failed. Okay, who failed. Okay, and then so then I said, wow, that is amazing, because there's no NFL general manager who is predicting young quarterbacks with over 90% accuracy. There is no other predictive statistic that is predicting NFL quarterbacks with over 90% accuracy. And I guarantee you that Tom Cook, cannot sit there and predict young quarterbacks with 90% accuracy. But here's a stat that does it, so I'm going to use that. Why wouldn't I? It would be stupid not to. That's my view on it. In the years since the ESPN Total QBR article first came out, they have continued to predict it has continued to predict young quarterbacks extremely accurately. Whether you're talking about Jameis Winston, Derek Carr, Blake Bortles, you know, they've been able to, you know, E.J. Manuel, who was a first-round pick, the stat has been able to predict success against failure with over 90% accurate. I think there was might have been one guy in the last 5 years who joined Eli or whoever it was in bucking the trend. But even that, I'm not sure about. But even then, it's like 25 out of 27, which is still pretty damn good. So that's my Bible. Okay, now they've tweaked the formula. I don't know how they tweaked it, but the numbers all seem a little higher to me. So now I'm like, okay, maybe that 42.7 needs to be like 44 or 45. If you really want to learn more about it, I wrote a Strat Football Forum post in the Strat Football section, the main Strat Football section, last year around this time, about why I liked Carson Wentz better than Dak Prescott. This was right before the NFL season started last year. A lot of people said I was crazy. Now no one thinks I'm crazy. But I'll be wrong plenty of times. I say something like that, and it sounds like, oh, there goes Tom tuning his own horn. Okay. And it does sound like, and I was tuning my own horn, I guess, but I'll also, what's the opposite of tuning my own horn? I'll also stick my own head in the toilet. I don't know. I don't know what the opposite is, but I'll also criticize myself and point out when I've been wrong. And I'm wrong plenty of times. I can give you easy, pick at any draft class, and I'll find you players in the first round of the top 30, 35, 40 that I was dead wrong about. Guys I didn't like who became good, guys I liked who became terrible. I drafted Amir Abdullah in the mid-first round of AW 2 years ago. I drafted Demarius Randall, late first round of AW 2 years ago. All right. AW, for some reason, I have not drafted that well. I've drafted very well in all the other leagues. And that really up until the last 2 years, I was doing great with AW as well. So whatever. It's math and probability. I'm okay with it. Hopefully this year we drafted better. So, all right. So this ESPN total QBR statistic from last year's class, the 2017 NFL class, predicted failure for Jared Goff. Okay. Now, the stat can only be applied if a quarterback makes at least 20 starts through his first 2 NFL seasons. And I'm sitting here telling you today that Jared Goff right now, or the week before the NFL season starts, Jared Goff is predicted for failure long term by the ESPN total QBR system when you take into account the first 2 years of his NFL career, which includes the very fine year he had last year. I find that people just overreact so much. Everything's got to be like a guy's one bad game. Oh, I told you. A guy has one bad year or one good year. Oh, I told you. We were doing a startup 2018 draft last summer 2017, and Marcus Mariota, by everyone's consideration, was a top 10 franchise quarterback. Very confident starting a team with him. Then he has kind of a bad year, throws a couple too many interceptions, not that many touchdowns, and now no one wants to hear about him. No one cares about him at all. Derek Carr was oh, he's great. Everyone loved him last year, summer of 2017. Then the guy gets traverse fractures in his back, his lower back, week 4, week 5 of the NFL season. Has kind of a bad year. Now everyone's oh, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Derek Carr. Now, what is wrong with you people? Try to look at the bigger picture. Try to look at the context. Why is this guy doing bad? Why is he doing good? And people say, oh, come on, Jared Goff has proven it. Look, if Jared Goff goes out and has a great year again, I'll be happy to say, hey, good job, Jared Goff. I don't have any interest in Jared Goff one way or the other. I could care less. If he is successful, unsuccessful, somewhere in between, I could care less. I'm just telling you something that's a fact, which is the ESPN total QBR system has has been predicting success or failure for young quarterbacks, retroactively applied for 20 years with over a 90% success rate. You will not find anything else, including your own opinion or mine, that is close to that. And that system is predicting Goff for failure. And you know what? If he does not fail and if he becomes succeed, I will still use the system because he'll be only the third guy out of 29 that bucks the system. So now it's down to 87% successful. That's still pretty good. Guys want 100 or nothing. You're not going to get 100 or nothing, okay? You're not going to get that when you're predicting things, okay? It just doesn't exist for anybody. All right. So same with me. I'm giving you my opinion on these young players. Maybe I'll get into exactly what I'm basing that opinion on because I'm based on a lot of substantial research, and I would say a fair amount of experience. That's what I'm giving you my opinion on. And I'm still going to be wrong plenty of times, just like the NFL guys who we all admire and who are all such geniuses that they didn't take Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes in the top 9 of last year's draft. Okay? And another team, can't work out a deal with Khalil Mack. So, there's stuff sometimes as a regular fan, well, maybe these guys don't know what they're doing. We don't know. Right now, Deshaun Watson, everyone loves him. Mitchell Trubisky, people aren't sure. The Bears traded up to get Trubisky number 2. They could have stayed at 3 and taken Watson or Mahomes for that matter. So, the NFL guys make a lot of mistakes as well. Absolutely do. And Kurt Warner couldn't even get a job in the league. So certainly us amateurs are going to make mistakes. Anyway, but I speak with authority, and so I'm okay being criticized. I have no problem with people say, hey, you were wrong with this guy, right with that guy, whatever. Hey, I'll admit it myself. I'd pick on any draft class. I'll tell you which guys I liked and didn't like. Always guys that I liked who failed or didn't like to do good. I wasn't that big on Jordan Howard, even after his first big year. I think his rookie year was a big year. And he proved last year that it was no flash in the pan. So, all right, that's to give you one example. There are many examples. Okay. So anyway, Mitchell Trubisky would have to have a tremendous season this year. His ESPN total QBR number was very, very low after last year, after his rookie year. He would have to have a tremendous season this year to reach a number where he would be predicted for long-term success by the ESPN total QBR system, which is what Goff would have had to do last year, and Goff didn't make it even with his very good year. So, based upon that and history and experience and the accuracy of that system in the past, I believe Mitchell Trubisky will probably fail. and probably not be a long-term success. Consequently, and this will be entertaining for everyone who hears it, I have Mitchell Trubisky approximately number 42 on my big board, 42 to 44, somewhere in that range. To the Jackie Robinson and Reggie Jackson, 42 to 44 on my big board this year. I had no interest in him at number 15. But I knew he was going to go high because, he was drafted number 2 in the NFL. He was didn't look like a complete disaster last year. And everyone's like, oh, now they got the new head coach and from an offensive background and they got weapons. Hey, look, if the guy, just because Sean McVay did good last year doesn't mean that every young offensive coordinator is going to suddenly work miracles. Okay? I'm not saying Trubisky needs miracles, but I'm just saying people, again, overreact to one incident. Not every young offensive coordinator is as good of a coach as Sean McVay. I'm sure I could find some teams, probably even last year, that hired a young offensive coordinator and it didn't work out. If you look down the league at the coaching changes and stuff like that. So every guy is different. Every player is different. Every coach is different. Every system is different. Every GM is different, So, you can look for trends if you'd like. But anyway, so I don't know how Trubisky's going to do, but I had him much lower than the other two guys. And I advised Michael when he sought me out that if I was him, it was not expensive. I would trade from 3 to 2. I also knew that David Will is at number 3, likes to pick up extra picks. Already having Jameis Winston, I thought he would be very amenable to a trade and reasonable, and he was. Of course, Michael, I think 2 or 3 fourth-round picks, it wasn't too bad to make sure he got the guy he wanted. Michael also wanted Mahomes. So we'll see what happens, I'm not saying Mahomes is going to win the MVP this year. He's a young quarterback just starting out. We'll see what his career is like in a few years. But I approved of that move. David Will, this show's already going to go long. David Will is drafting number 3. Took Marshawn Lattimore, tremendous corner, of course. We all love him. It's like a no-brainer, right? St. Louis Cardinals, Dale Van Diva, the DVD, took Mitchell Trubisky. Dale needs a quarterback. I hope for Dale's sake it works out. That's the other thing. Like if I don't like the player, I'm not necessarily predicting him. I'm not necessarily rooting against him. I do like to know that any evaluation system I'm using is working. So I guess in a sense, if I say, well, ESPN's total QBR is predicting Trubisky for failure, in a sense, I'm helped if Trubisky does fail because it reinforces the idea that system has validity. And since picking young quarterbacks is very, very hard, I like the idea that there's a system that makes it far more accurate than I would be on my own. That's for sure. But anyway, so Dale took Trubisky number 4. And look, if you need a young quarterback, you don't have one, I don't know what you're going to do. Personally, I know Dennis was arguing with me, and it's a shame he's not here, but hopefully he'll be doing the Samifa show with me. Dennis was arguing with me during, because I have them picks number 14 and 15 in the Samifa draft next Saturday, September 8th, at an internet near you. I have Andrew Luck as my quarterback. As my quarterback. He's been a lot of quarterback on my 2 fall teams, which has not really been a blessing in the last few years, I'll tell you that much. That one decent card at 3 years from the guy. And who knows what's going to happen this year. He's just coming back from injury. But Dennis was arguing with me, well, why wouldn't you take Mitchell Trubisky? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling him all the reasons why I wouldn't. They're like, oh, don't come crying to me if you pass on Trubisky and Luck's arm falls off. I'm like, okay. First of all, Andrew Luck's health and performance has nothing to do with my evaluation of Mitchell Trubisky. If Andrew Luck retired yesterday, it would not suddenly mean that I thought Mitchell Trubisky was going to be a good quarterback. I mean, the two things are completely divorced from each other. It could not, there's no relationship between Andrew Luck's health and Mitchell Trubisky's future performance. There's no planet on which I know, maybe there's some bizarre world, I don't know, but there's no planet which I know in which those two things are connected. So to me, if I need a young quarterback and I don't like the young quarterback that's available, I'm not going to take him just because he's a young quarterback. I went down that road many, many years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago. I went down that road. I, 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 I need a franchise quarterback in Samifa. I was inexperienced in evaluating young players. I was a bad GM. I was a bad drafter at that time. In the course of about 4 years, I spent 3 top 6 selections on Vince Young, Mark Sanchez, and Jamarcus Russell. And guess what? It didn't work out. And I said, okay, this sucks. This isn't working. I'm a competitive guy. The GMs in that league were tremendous, and some of them were just drafting hit after hit every year and building great teams. I said, all right, I got to figure out how the hell to do this if I want to compete in this league. And there's a lot of great coaches in the league. I know there's some history between leadership over there and leadership over here. And this is an Autumn Win show, but look, there's a lot of Autumn Win guys who also played Samifa. They'll tell you that there's tremendous coaching top to bottom in that league pretty much. It's a little harder, and there's excellent coaches in AW, some of whom don't play in Samifa, of course, like Rick Byrons and some other guys. And the Autumn Win, you have to have 30 coaches, so it's an extra 6 coaches, so the quality may be less at times on average, but certainly there's excellent top coaches in Autumn Win as well, absolutely. I'm not saying there aren't, okay? I don't know what point I was getting at, but the point I was getting at was once upon a time, I was like, well, I need a young quarterback. There's a young quarterback highly drafted, looked pretty good as a rookie. I'll take him. Thankfully, I don't have to do that as much anymore. Anyway, I will not draft a young quarterback. I will not draft a young quarterback who does not pass the ESPN total QBR threshold unless, for some reason, I see the guy with the naked eye and I fall in love with him. But I'm pretty much not going to do it. So if my team goes 2-14 this year, and if Andrew Luck stubs his toe and has to miss the rest of the season in the NFL, and Sam Darnold, New York Jets fan, I'm a New York Jets fan, huge New York Jets fan, and Sam Darnold is there in the draft for me to take, and Sam Darnold has not passed the ESPN total QBR threshold, I will not take Sam Darnold. I promise you that. I will not take a young quarterback high who has not passed the threshold. No chance. 0%. Hey, will I take the guy maybe at number 20 in the draft? Sure. But number 20 is not number 3. When I could take Marshawn Lattimore and Myles Garrett, it was like a sure thing. Now, I'm not saying that Dale made a horrible mistake in drafting Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe we're in a changing of the guard, and maybe now all the young quarterbacks who were drafted highly are going to be good, because that has been the trend in recent years. Maybe the ESPN total QBR ranking system had too small of a sample, or for whatever reason won't apply anymore. I don't know. You know, so Dale, Dale's a great guy. I love Dale. Dale, for your sake, I hope Mitchell Trubisky is great. You know, or at least very good. Let's not get carried away. But yeah, I'm just saying for myself, I believe in the system enough that Mitchell Trubisky is not a guy I would have taken. No chance, 0%. If I need a quarterback, I'll find another one. I'll make my team as horrible as they can for the year. I will still coach hard every game, make them as horrible as I can for the year, and hopefully next year I'll be picking 1 or 2 or 3, and one of these schmoes, Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold or whoever, comes through, and I get one of them if they pass the threshold. Otherwise, I'll just keep losing. You guys know I don't mind losing. Okay, which is against the Autumn Win spirit. Autumn Win guys like to win more than I guess I do, but I'm building my team. We'll get there. I want to win the my way. I just don't want to win. I want to trade for it. I'm building through the draft. So anyway, I don't mind losing this year. It's a good thing I don't mind losing because I do a lot of losing this year with this team. I thought they're going to be 0-16. Now possibly 1 or 2 wins, maybe 3. We'll see. But hopefully I'll be in the top 5 next year. I've never had a top 5 pick in AW. I've always been more like the 10-16 range. More pre-Greek freak Milwaukee Bucks territory, as Jeff Bevier would call it. He plays in Samifa. Okay, so Dale takes Trubisky for nothing wrong with that, despite everything I said. Like I said, not everyone looks at all these things and knows all these things or whatever. So it makes sense from that standpoint. St. Louis Rams, Gary Nagata takes Myles Garrett, number 5. Much like Marshawn Lattimore, a slam dunk. We all like Myles Garrett a lot. He looks the part. He walks the walk. He talks the talk. Had a fine rookie season. So obviously, double counting league, you get a very, very solid 22-year-old or whatever defender. That certainly looks nice. And he helps for the year, 5'8". Gary is usually pretty competitive. So, and forgive me if I don't know how competitive your teams are. I just don't know the teams and what the guys are doing as much in Autumn Wind. Maybe because my team always sucks. And I've been rebuilding forever and continue to this year. So I haven't, haven't picked up the teams as readily there. And I didn't call them any playoff games last year. Michael Reeves was calling them, did a great job. I stepped in a little bit for, I think, the last couple. But I know that Gary has, I think his reputation is that he usually does pretty well. And likes to compete for the playoffs. I think Big Ben is on the team, so you can see why. A 30-team league, if you have a real good quarterback, if you have any kind of a team at all, you should have a chance to go 10-6, right? Anyway, number 6, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's Mike Ramos. I've enjoyed playing in this league. I had a great game with him my first or second year in. We're in the same division, I think, of that year. Tre'Davious White, number 6. Interesting. The corners. Oh, that's right. I can talk freely now because you guys aren't listening to this until after the Samifa draft. So I can actually reveal things like my personal draft list and stuff like that. This cornerback group, really, really interesting and deep at the top there. I had Lattimore first, like most people, but I must confess, I simply must confess that I really, really like William Jackson III from Cincinnati. And I had him, believe it or not, as my number 2 corner, despite fewer than 800 snaps last year. 88.9 coverage grade. Tre'Davious White at 91.2, which is unbelievable. 91.2 coverage grade in 1,100 snaps. I mean, and Strat doesn't give him a 6. Glenn, what are you guys doing? Well, we read somewhere that he has trouble with what? I mean, 91.2. They just, rookie 6. You got to be transcendent. Like, I guess. Aaron Donald didn't get one. We've given up on projecting rookie 6. I was like, it's like if Lattimore and Tre'Davious White don't get a rookie 6, no one's getting them. And they didn't get them. They got 5s. Anywho, I don't care about offensive linemen either. We're talking about defensive players. Don't come to me with Joe Thomas or whoever. Even he was a 5'7". It's not good enough, Joe. Maybe next year. Work on it. But I have no problems with Tre'Davious White. I really like Tre'Davious White's footage. He looks real good. Big, strong, quick, everything you want. I just like William Jackson more. That's my own view. William Jackson looks amazing to me. So I had him as a number 2 corner. Most people, I think, have him number 4. With Dory Jackson number 3. Dory was drawing rave reviews for his athleticism in camp. I think they had a mixed scrimmage with Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay was talking about him, how good he was. So, and I don't know, there's something a little slightly missing from the Dory's tape. I didn't mind him, but I like the other 3 much better. Lattimore, William Jackson, and Tre'Davious White for me were the 3 guys I really liked a lot. At Dory, I was like, I hope he doesn't slip there to me. Hope I don't have to decide on him. I think he's fine. That doesn't mean I hate Dory Jackson. I just really like the other 3 guys better, particularly Lattimore and William Jackson III. William Jackson III I would love to get. And as this will be, I've got 14 and 15 in Samifa. He's got a good chance to be there, believe it or not. It's not a double counting league. So, and then there's plenty of other good corners. Marlon Humphrey looks good. Shaq Griffin I like. Kevin King is fascinating. Kevin King looks like he could be amazing, but he's injured all the time. So it's a real gamble for him. And I took a gamble on him. Which means it'll probably fail. And the other guys, Desmond King is interesting. Gary and Conley looks real good if he can be healthy. He has not been healthy. So we'll see what happens. Didn't do Gary and I any favors by trading away the pass rush, Khalil Mack to the Bears. I don't understand. I don't understand why they're doing that. But anyway, might be the classic trade that hurts both teams. I don't know. The Bears defense could really be something with Khalil Mack. Because I already like the secondary. 3-4 run stoppers, they're fine there. They drafted Roquan Smith in the top 10. Now you had Khalil Mack, and you already have Leonard. I'm not a huge Leonard Floyd fan, but you can do. At least it doesn't have to be the main guy now. That defense might be real, real good. Let's hope Trubisky doesn't mess it up. I don't know why you guys like listening to this. All I do is complain and badmouth everybody. Good for the ratings. I'm not doing it for the ratings. We're not making money off of ratings over here. Doing it for fun. I enjoy talking to these things, and these shows go on interminably, of course. So I like Tre'Davious White. I like Tre'Davious White. Very, very solid pick. Gotta be happy to get him. I'm in the minority, having William Jackson ahead of him. And I was surprised that William Jackson went ahead of Adoree Jackson in this draft. I think usually it'll be the other way around. But Ed Carpenter is very shrewd, lives in the Midwest as well, I believe. He's probably reading what they're saying with the Bengals with William Jackson III, who I really, really like a lot. I think can be elite. He can be one of those 2 or 3 guys that everyone says, "Oh my gosh," the Patrick Peterson, the Jalen Ramsey. He could be that type of guy. As can Marshawn Lattimore. I like the other guys, Tre'Davious White particularly. I don't know if they're going to get to that super level. They don't have to get 6s. So anyway, Tre'Davious White 6. I have no problem with that pick at all. Very solid. The New England Patriots threw me a curveball. Kareem Hunt, number 7. The running backs are interesting in this class. This is going to take forever. Now, New England, that's Jeff Smith. He has got Derek Carr. He's got Duke Johnson, decent card, but fumbles a lot. Goes for Kareem Hunt. I feel like long term, I'll tell you something that I haven't told anybody, even Dennis. I really like Christian McCaffrey. I didn't like the way they used him last. I used him last year as the receiver, but I watched his college highlights. I watched his rookie highlights, and I said, this guy's really good. And I tend to gravitate towards the smaller, shiftier backs like him, as opposed to the bigger backs like Fournette. And it's got me in trouble before. I feel like I have an easier time. It's easier to see why a McCaffrey or a Dalvin Cook is good compared to a Fournette or even Todd Gurley, who infamously drafted in the 4th round of an inaugural draft last year over Dennis's attempted veto because Gurley had a horrible card with a 3.2 average on it. And guys said I was crazy, but then Gurley had a great year. So I feel good about that one. Don't feel good about all of them, but I feel good about that one. So I really like McCaffrey. And I was thinking of drafting on number 15 this year, assuming William Jackson wasn't there. And McCaffrey wasn't number 2 on my big board, but he was up there. He was AW big board, and big board is slightly different for each league, of course. But he was number 9 on my AW big board, ahead of even Derek Barnett, who I love. Dalvin Cook slightly ahead of him. I love Dalvin Cook's college tape. Worried about coming back from the ACL. If he's lost any, you don't have to lose much in the NFL to really have a drop off, especially as a running back. If he's lost any elusiveness, quick cutting, quickness, it can really hurt. So he makes me nervous. If he's the same back he was before the injury, I love him. Absolutely love Dalvin Cook. If he's lost a little something, then it's like, that sucks. I tell myself that Amir Abdullah has not been the same back since missing that injury when I watched some of his highlights, but who knows if that's wishful thinking. Confirmation bias, perhaps. Who knows? But anyway, I like McCaffrey a lot. Fournette is the guy that everyone's raving about coming out of college, right? And he's slimmed down this year. And they're in a run-first offense, and he's going to get the ball. And if Bortles is, not doing that great through the air, Fournette doesn't have to do as well to get a real good card. So for long term, even though I really, really like McCaffrey, and I would feel more comfortable with McCaffrey than Fournette to some extent, long term, I would have still taken Fournette over McCaffrey. Fournette was my first running back for the long term. Now, Kareem Hunt's got a pretty decent card, and I kind of like his highlights, but just don't like him enough to take him super highly. He is 3 on my big board, but that was sometimes my big board, or this is a group ranking. So he's 3 in my halfback group, Kareem Hunt. But sometimes that's because the guy's going to go. I know the guy's going to go. I mean, Kareem Hunt's not going to be there at number 38 in the draft. Just going to put him lower on my big board. He's going to go top 10, top 12, right? So I put him up there because I know he's going to go. I mean, if he doesn't go, and I make the draft decision, but I probably was not going to draft Kareem Hunt. So we'll see if he comes through. He's got a pretty decent card. I kind of like his card better than most. And he certainly played well last year. Very chunky. A lot of hit and miss. We have a lot of weapons at offense. We'll see if that has a positive. That might have a negative impact on his strat card. Maybe a positive impact on his stats because they can't key on him so much, so to speak. That team's got Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, and Travis Kelce. With Patrick Mahomes launching bombs down the field. That should be exciting if Andrew Reid doesn't, get too conservative, which he can do. So Kareem Hunt there. Interesting. We'll see what happens with him. TJ Watt, number 8. TJ Watt, one of my favorite players of this draft class, is number 4 on my big board. When I said Kareem Hunt was number 3 on my big board, I meant he was number 3 in my halfback group. Certainly not on my big board. He was much lower on my big board. Kareem Hunt was number 29 on my big board. Kareem Hunt. Which is still an NFL first-round pick. I thought, how could he be number 29? You hate the guy. That's an NFL first-round pick. I like having the 29th pick in the draft. I had 30 this year, number 30 in AW. I'm not the guy taking 30. I'm not saying he's no good. I don't like him. So why if I put Kareem Hunt 29, he's telling me he's no good? Like I had Ronald Darby number 20 when he was a rookie and a 5. Oh, you're out of your mind. He's a 5. He's top 10. Number 20 is not bad. Number 20 is the best player in the whole draft. It's not bad. I mean, what do you want to say? Jeez. Anyway, I still like Ronald Darby. I don't mind Ronald Darby. I still think he's great. Forgive me. What was I rambling about? TJ Watt. I got TJ Watt for AW. I had him number 5 on my big board. Deshaun Watson, Marshall Lattimore, Patrick Mahomes, Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt. Certainly no Mitchell Trubisky. He's not on page 1. I mean, Watt, part of it is position scarcity, where the Dennis uses scarcity that I'm using more often. I am more frequently using a scarcity. I think Watt's a real good all-around linebacker. He's fast. He closes well. He's strong. I think him and his brother are unusually strong, JJ and TJ, not Derek. Maybe he is too. I don't know. But JJ and TJ, I think, are unusually strong. For their size and height, they just seem to move guys out of the way more than you would expect. And TJ is also very heady. They used him in coverage a lot last year. They're switching him to the other side of the defense now. But he's still going to blitz. He's still going to get his sacks. He's also going to be in coverage. So I don't think he's going to be one of those guys like a Nick Perry who gets like 50, who gets like, under 50 snaps a year in coverage. Those are the guys who get hit with the zeros. Chandler Jones, I'm looking at you. So TJ hopefully gets a couple hundred snaps in coverage, which he did as a rookie. And then you have a guy, maybe he's going to be a 5. So position, and this outside linebacker right now, very hard to fill for the long term in Strat. And we're all going to be sitting there. Do yourself, do yourself a favor. Make sure your running back can catch. Another reason I liked McCaffrey. Make sure running back can catch. Forget the blocking back. Run that 2 tight end. Get the second tight end who can catch. Because these outside linebackers can't cover anybody. That's going to be nice for receiving backs and receiving second tight ends. But TJ Watt will be good against those things, and I like him a lot. And I think he's a good pick to get, especially double counting league. John Baldwin, of course, good GM, good draft, doing a nice job there. Doug Riley didn't want C.J. Anderson. Why would I? When I'm going to draft Leonard Fournette, number 9. Good move there. I like Leonard Fournette. I'm intrigued by Christian McCaffrey, but I would have taken Fournette as the number 1 running back in this class. Even though I'm intrigued with McCaffrey, I would have taken McCaffrey as the number 2. Fournette could be the big stud out of this draft, out of these backs. He could be the Todd Gurley or the Adrian Peterson or whoever. Let's see. He's going to have the opportunity. So I think he'll always be at least pretty good. So I get him at number 9. I like that. And for Doug especially, I think he's got Aaron Rodgers. I know Fournette's card sucks this year. And people sometimes say, I don't want to take a rookie running back with a bad card high. 30-team league, it's harder to fill holes. So if you get a guy that looks like he's going to get the job done for a long time, that's not a bad move at all. William Jackson III, number 10 to Cleveland. I waxed prolific about him. So I approve of that move, Ed Carpenter. And the Saints, Gene LaFleur. Now, the Canadian guys do a lot of research, a lot of homework, a lot of drafting. You're talking about Gene, Claude, and Mark, the unholy trio. That's not true. It's a line from the comics that I know, the Unholy Trio. But Gene, Claude, and Mark, and they do their homework. They draft well. They make their. I get the feeling that they're really very thorough, working the trade markets, preparing for the draft, knowing what's going on with players and position battles in the NFL. And they're not perfect. I gave Claude a hard time for drafting Lael Collins late in the first round a year or two ago. I'm looking justified on that. I still don't know why he did that. Ali Marpet was the guy for the offensive line there. So generally, I like when I see guys know what they're doing, I feel like I'm always going to give them the benefit of the doubt. If I think a player's gone too highly, but he goes to a guy who seems to know what he's doing, I say, all right, well, this guy, his opinion is just as good as mine. He's proven it. So we'll see what happens. So Marcus Williams, I feel that way about. I like Marcus Williams. I think he's a good player. I like his grades. I was impressed with what he did as a rookie. By now, most of us have read the glowing camp reviews and Drew Brees comparing him to Ed Reed and this and that, something Dennis first told me about. But I read up on this stuff as well, especially with guys who will be high picks. I tend to read whatever I can about them. And Gene's probably got a good team. Gene usually has a pretty good team for the year. So Williams probably is a nice match of team need. You could use a running back of team need, but he drafted a guy with a good card later on of team need and future. And interesting, he had already two safeties, George Aloka, who got cut surprisingly in the NFL, and Malcolm Jenkins. These guys are a little older. So Marcus Williams helps for the year, upgrading to a 5. Maybe that helped him with his team defense. I would have predicted a corner because the corner is 0. Marcus is a very solid player, very good player. Went higher than I thought. I don't know that he's a perennial 6 type of guy. I don't see him as a perennial 6 type of guy. I see him more as a perennial 5 type of guy, but he's a very good player, very solid player. And like I said, Gene does well with the drafting. Those guys will do well with the drafting. So I always got to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was not going to take Marcus at 15. I know for some reason people in all my leagues are linking me to Marcus Williams. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did to what I said about Marcus Williams at some point. But Strat-28, people think Dennis was thinking that he was the guy I was eyeing for us. Dennis and I are partners in Strat-20. I'm the GM. He's the field coach. But we talk about things. But I'm the GM. Dennis thought he was the guy that I was eyeing over there. So me for mock draft, I'm getting projected for Marcus Williams. A W mock draft, I'm being projected for Marcus Williams. Like, I like Marcus Williams, but it's just weird that he's all my teams. He's been linked to my teams, and he's not even that high on my board. Now, he's a guy, I think, like Ronald Darby, who I like Marcus Williams. I think he's a good, solid player. He's just not a guy that I want maybe in my top 10 or whatever. I've got him 30th, right behind Kareem Hunt, ahead of Mitchell Trubisky, 30th on my big board. And, but I know he's going to go higher than that. So, and sometimes that's why I trade down. I know there's guys like Marcus Williams. I like Marcus Williams. I think he's good. But I didn't have him super high on this particular board. But he's a very good, solid player. So, Gene knows what he's doing. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, really, a lot of these drafts this year is different. This year is a draft actually where I feel like after the top 12 or 13, there's a definite drop-off. Most years, I'll be honest, most years, I don't see a lot of difference in talent in the players going like between number 9 and like number 30. Most years, I'm just as happy to pick 25th as I am 12th. Most years, I feel very little difference between those players. And it's one of the reasons I like trading for early second-round picks and not first-round picks, because guys lose their mind. Oh, I don't want to trade a first-round pick. All right, fine. Give me an early 2, because the guy is just as good as your shitty first-round pick. But I'm so negative when it comes to this type of thing. I'm so harsh. But that's how I feel a lot of the times. This year was different. This year, like that top 12-ish, 12, 13 group, you got the quarterback, You got the running backs. You got the corners. You got T.J. Watt. You got Myles Garrett. That group to me is definitely worth having those picks up there. The group is a lot better than what's coming after it. But Reuben Foster is a special case. Reuben Foster is about as good a player as you could ever see if you try and start researching video highlights. It's amazing. Amazing player. Like 66, amazing. But he likes to do a lot of messed up things off the field that seem destined to result in a long-term or career suspension for him. So, it's Reuben Foster question mark. We know he can play if they let him play. So that's what I feel about him. Coincidentally, he went 12th here. I mean, if Reuben Foster had no off-the-field issues, I'd be like, you can keep everyone else. Give me him. I want the first pick in the draft. I want Reuben Foster. Hopefully, I don't need a quarterback, so I have to think about the other two guys. But Reuben has those issues, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, so Marcus goes 11, solid player for Gene. Reuben Foster, I told you about, goes 12 to Sean. Riley, I hope for Sean's sake that Reuben is able to, not get suspended regularly. We don't want him going the Aldon Smith, Josh Gordon route. We want him going the Warren Sapp, Randy Moss route. Because that's what's going to happen. You really have a guy going in the middle. He either goes like, yes, I'm getting suspended all the time and my career is over. Or no, I'm a bit of a pain in the ass, but I've sorted it out. And now I'm here for you every year. So, we'll see which way Reuben goes. He's a hell of a player, boy. Number 12. And double counting, too. League, it's hard to find linebackers. His grades are outstanding. So, number 13, the Michigan Panthers take Adoree Jackson. Did he go to Michigan? He went to USC. That's right. How can I forget? I like that Claude put the colleges in here. Thank you, Claude. Merci. I like it. So Adoree Jackson went to USC, but Mick took him anyway. Mick likes Michigan guys, but he'll take the best player. Get in the later round and it's close, he'll take the Michigan guy, but preferably Michigan State. I think he's a Spartan fan. I'm not certain. But Adoree Jackson at 13. Everyone raves about his athleticism, the returning ability, high-end speed. I feel like there's something missing in his highlights to prevent him from being, the Patrick Peterson, the Jalen Ramsey. There's something missing there. I don't know what it is. So I think of him as more of a perennial 5, but there were glowing write-ups about him in camp and in the preseason. So maybe I'm wrong about that, and he will be perennial 6. I certainly understand him going number 13. He was like the 17th pick in the NFL draft. I think most drafts he's going to go before William Jackson, and that's been the MO so far, but not here today. You want to win. Number 14, oh, no. Oh, boy, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. You look at the draft. It hurts. It just hurts. Say it ain't so, Joe. Joe Sardo. We're talking about, Reuben Foster, Marcus Williams. Later on, guys like Christian McCaffrey, Juju Smith-Schuster. Joe takes 97-year-old defensive back for the Green Bay Packers, Tramon Williams. He's a 5. Takes him 14th overall. I know Joe likes to go for the year, but I mean, if you have to have a corner 5, say I must have a corner 5, couldn't you at least have taken Desmond King, who is like 14 years younger? I tell you, there's a middle schooler in between like Tramon Williams and Desmond King. You don't like to draft a kid. You don't like to draft a guy who was like playing before like your teenage daughter was born. That's usually not where you want to go at number 14. So I don't understand. Why would you take a? He's got to be like 34. I can't even find him on my sheet here. I know he's here somewhere. I go to the draft pool put out by Half Man, Half Mankiewicz. Larry Davis back with a team this year. That's good. Maybe he'll listen to the show. But I know Tremon's in there somewhere. Here he is. Born in 1983. Reagan's first term. You don't like your first round pick to be older than the personal computer. It's just not. Jamal Williams was born. Michael J. Fox was a young, aspiring actor. It's just not where you want to. Not where you want to invest your hopes there. I mean, 1983. He's 35 years old. He's 35 years old. Desmond King is 24. They're both corner fives. You can't tell me you like Tramon Williams' future better than Desmond King's. I don't care if you hate Desmond King. I have some concerns about the situation with Desmond King in LA. We'll get to that. But if you could take a 35-year-old corner five, why not take the 24-year-old corner five instead? Why not? Give yourself the extra 11 years. See what happens. Oh, Joe, I don't understand. Anyway, Joe took Tramon Williams, 35 years old, over Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook and everyone else who's like, more than 10 years younger. Oh, it hurts. It just hurts to look at that. Might as well trade me for Anthony Zettel at that point. Let's see if Joe needs a defensive end. Oh, boy. Well, we said what's there to say? You could say a lot more. But for now, Jamal Williams, number 14. Wow. 35 years old. Corner five. Desmond King, I think, went in the second round. But anyway. All right, Joe. Good luck with that. See how it works out. Okay. The Duke. Dave Szymanski. Am I pronouncing his last name right? I said a brain cramp. I took a caffeine pill earlier. It's helping. But Dave's a very good GM. I first met Dave coming out. There's a lot of lovable old guy, a little cantankerous perhaps. But Dave knows his stuff. I'm a former sports reporter. Dave knows his stuff. Very good drafter. Very careful with the roster. Not going to make a bunch of stupid moves. I give him kudos for that. Now I'm sitting there at number 15. Now, there was two players I really want. I was at the 15 and number 30, and I was trying to move up from 30 to 23, 24. I had discussions with Butch at 23 and with my man Ann Carpenter at 24. And it's a double counting league. I've been going best player available. And I started telling myself, you have to say best player available in a double counting league. Well, it took me 4 or 5 years to learn that. Picked it up real quick, 4 or 5 years in. And I said, I like Christian McCaffrey a lot. I'd like to have him on my team. I'd like to pair him with Andrew Luck when Andrew Luck comes back next year. I believe in Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to be a good player. I like the fact that Norv Turner apparently has a history of using his lead backs like tremendously, as opposed to the multi-back system that a lot of teams use nowadays. But my defense blows. My defense sucks. I took a hit when Ryan Shazier had his career-ending injury last year. Thanks very much. Between Andrew Luck and Ryan Shazier and Travis Frederick, his team is a little snake bit. Although I still have, even if those guys were healthy, I still have not done a good job. Still been a bit of a bad team this year. Not a good team, certainly. So I think the failings of the team are more because of bad drafting the last 2 years than some bad injury and health news with Andrew, Ryan Shazier, and Travis Frederick. Although it wouldn't hurt if my guys would stop, falling apart, key guys. But anyway. So I'm drafting 15. That was me. And I didn't think that William Jackson would fall to me, but I thought he might. But I love Derek Barnett, man. Derek Barnett, defensive end for the Philadelphia Eagles, to me looks like he's pretty much just about as good as Myles Garrett. He's like a small level below. And that's not a knock on Myles Garrett. You watch Derek Barnett's college tape, man, and then his NFL tape, and this guy, he's going around the edge, he's bull rushing, he's in the backfield, he's making plays, he's shedding blocks, he's strip sacking quarterbacks. I mean, he just looks like a great player to me. There was some talk when he was drafted number 14 overall by the Eagles last year that, well, he was a production guy in college, didn't have all the combine measurables, blah, 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 which are legitimate concerns, right? Maybe he's able to get the sacks against these college offensive right tackles, but maybe he doesn't have the speed and power to do it in the NFL. Then you watch his Philadelphia Eagle highlights from last year, and you see a guy who has pretty good grades in PFF. And you watch his Eagle highlights, including in the postseason, and you say, man, this guy looks really good. I'm really high in Derek Barnett. Very, very high in Derek Barnett. He's a guy I wanted on all my teams. This is the reason why I'm keeping this show private until the Samifa draft. I'm drafting 14, 15, and 27 in Samifa. And I don't want everyone in Samifa knowing that I like Derek Barnett this much, and I'm gushing over him, and someone takes him number 19 when he should be on my team, damn it. I already cost myself Ronnie Stanley last year for being too open with my mock draft. I cost myself, of course, Nick Kwiatkowski in the famous Kwiatkowski controversy with Dennis. Nick Kwiatkowski, he's not on any of my teams. Not any of my teams, because I was so open with this last year, and I wanted the guy so badly. I don't care if he's a backup. I like taking his sleepers. He wasn't going to be a first-round pick. I like that I do all this research, and I get a guy in the 6th or 7th or 8th round that I really like, and now he's on my team, and maybe he comes through. I enjoy that. I enjoy that much more than winning anything. What you could win the Super Bowl, go ahead. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy drafting young players and playing as draft football GM. It's a pain in the ass to me that I have to play the games. Sometimes. I would say most of the time. Anywho, I really, really like Derek Barnett. I'm about as sure as him. I'm very, very confident in him. But I felt like I could trade down from 15 and not take him at 15. I felt like 15 would be a little high for him. With Dalvin Cook on the board, I was like, how do I take Christian McCaffrey over Dalvin Cook? If Dalvin Cook is healthy, I will never forgive myself for passing on him because I love the guy coming out of college. And I said, let me see if I can trade down. If I can't trade down, I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey because I'm going to take who my evaluation tells me who to take because I think I've done a good job with this in the past, 5, 6, 7 years since I got crazy about evaluating young players. So I'm trying to make a trade down, and Dave comes to the quasi-rescue. I'll give you my pick and a 3. I'm like, you're giving your pick. Well, where is your pick, Dave? I don't have the AW Philadelphia Eagles manifest in front of me. I'm on the clock. My voice program sucks. Work with me here, Dave. I got Butch saying, what's it going to cost? Make me an offer, Butch. I hate that. Yeah, you have like 2 or 3. In a lot of these leagues, you have like 2 minutes to make a pick. And guys want to start haggling. I can't use my fingers to type. I'm not lowballing you. I'm not in a position to haggle. Make me an offer. Let's talk. I'm against the clock here. I'll give you my pick. And is your pick in the first round? I hope so. Oh, Dave. So Dave traded me like a late 3 and number 22 for 15. I said, all right, fine, I'll go. I don't know what the hell that is on that stupid chart. I don't care. I do have it up because some guys are slaves to the chart. I had it up earlier. I probably didn't do well by the chart. Let's see. 22 was 780. I needed to pick up 270 points on the chart, and Dave gave me 124. Dave, you owe me 146 points. I'll look for that in the mail. I think you need to give me like your 3 next year. Whatever. I didn't care. I'm moving down and picking up a 3 of the team. That doesn't seem bad. What am I going to do? Oh, the chart doesn't say it. No deal. Now I'll take a different player who I might get a 22 anyway and I don't have that extra third-round pick. Why would I do that? That's asinine. So I made the deal with Dave, and Dave drafted Alvin Kamara number 15. I like Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is a very, well, should I say I like him? I should say Alvin Kamara is a very difficult player to assess, I think. He is weird. He's a little smaller and leaner than I like for a running back. But what's weird about him, he has like unbelievable balance. When I watched him in college, but even more so in the NFL, because, you know, more impressive when you're doing it in the NFL, right? Way more impressive. Even when you're coming from the SEC. But like he would like get hit and like just like kind of like lean over and like keep going, you know, and had a way of like not of he's kind of slippery. He's kind of like water, like flowing in and out of the defense. Like I'm used to like the quick cutting backs. Like you watch Dalvin Cook, of course Barry Sanders back in the day, like the quick cut, you know, that's the elusiveness. This guy like some kind of like weird flow. I wonder if he does yoga. It's some kind of like weird flowing style, and he's got great balance, and it's hard to get him down with the first hit. He's getting extra yardage, so. And he has great top speed. So he was intriguing to me, but I just felt like I'm just not comfortable enough to know, yes, he's going to be great. You know, he's certainly real good for the year. I think the card's underrated. The receiving is real nice. I think he's fine for anyone to take. I'm certainly not going to criticize someone for getting Alvin Kamara 15. Most of us would have projected him top 11 probably. I have to see what Mark projected. Mark does a great job with the mock drafts. But for me, I was like, I have a little bit of uneasiness. I like very safe first-round picks normally, or guys that I just really, really like, whether you call them safe or not, like Christian McCaffrey. It's certainly not a safe pick, but I like him a lot. So I was like, I don't want to be in the position of Alvin Kamara. So he wasn't in the mix for me anyway. So I traded out, picked up a late 3, which I used later to move up and get someone else I like. But anyway. Dave took him, very fine pick, solid pick. We'll see what happens. I mean, Kamara, I think, is one of those guys where he's either going to be real good or you're going to look back and say it's a real disappointment. That rookie year was like a tease, you know? So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think he's interesting to see what he's going to do this year. I like the player, and I like the fit for the team because Kamara's the type of guy is good for a team that's already like pretty good all around. Dave's got a nice all-around team. Does a nice job every year. He could take a little bit of a gamble with Kamara and say, "Yeah, you know what? I could take a gamble with this guy. If he pans out, awesome. And if he doesn't, well, it was worth the risk, and I have a pretty good team this year anyway." So I like Kamara going to Dave here. Dave does a real good job. So again, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Montreal, Claude, our good friend, Ryan Ramczyk, number 16 overall. Never go wrong with a solid-looking offensive tackle. Or solid-looking offensive lineman. You know, there's very few offensive linemen where, like, they have a good rookie year in the NFL. They're highly drafted, have a good rookie in the NFL, get a good strat rating, and then collapse. Like, when does that ever happen? It almost never happens. I mean, you know, Joel Bitonio, Taylor Lewan, you know, so many guys. He's a good rookie year, good strat rating, good NFL career. Especially if they were highly drafted in the NFL. Ramczyk played some left tackle last year when Teron Armstead was out and showed he could handle that. So eventually, if these two guys aren't on the same team, if Ramczyk signs elsewhere as a free agent or Armstead eventually goes somewhere else, whatever, Ramczyk will probably play left tackle somewhere. Very, very solid. Someone to me last year when I took Jack Conklin. Look, first-round NFL pick, offensive tackle, 5'5", or better as a rookie. All the PFF grades are good. You can't go wrong. They play forever. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not double counting. I know it's not getting you good or excellent, but it's really nice for your long-term roster. And Claude's in the midst of a retooling, and I'm sure it's going to go well because he knows what he's doing. All those Canadian guys up there know what they're doing in this league. Yeah, I fight with those guys at times. Well, I don't fight with Gene. Gene and I get along, I feel like. Johnny Flowers, that's my guy. So I've had some disagreements with Claude and most notably with Mark. But you got to give credit where it's due. And those guys, I think, will all do a real nice job. You know, I'm not going to, you know, if I don't get along with the guy, I'm not going to say he doesn't know what he's doing. It just means we don't get along, perhaps. But Claude and I think get along. I think Mark and I are the ones we've had a history, so to speak. But I like the Ryan Ramczyk selection for Claude here. Very solid pick. And our good friend Rick Byron is the Shreveport Steamer, fresh off of his 1980 Summer Sprint Championship with Vince Ferragamo at the helm. A pick that I criticized in that draft to show you that I might not know what I'm doing at times. And Rick's got 2 of the last 3, I think, Summer Sprint Championships, and that is a single season league. Everyone's going for the year, so that's impressive to me. So good job by Rick, and anyone who wants to work on their coaching or improve their coaching or really test their coaching, join Dennis's Battle Royale or Summer Sprint leagues. You only have to play 1 season. You don't have to stay. It's not a keeper league. And you don't have to worry, and there's no trading either. Try and rip off guys in trades, or if your success is based on ripping guys off in trades, let's see what you really got. Let's see if you can really draft and coach and succeed when everyone's going for the year. Then come talk to me. As guys go, 14-2, ripping guys off left and right. Okay, fine. Can you coach? Let me see. Rick can coach. 2 out of 3 championships. Vince Ferragamo at the helm. Anyway, our good friend, the Shreveport Steamer here, took John Johnson, but you doesn't have to call me Johnson from the old commercials. Strong safety, it says here, or shortstop. I think he's a strong safety. From Boston College, I believe. It just says Boston. I didn't know he went to Boston College, did he? Okay. But anyway, Claude's pretty good. I don't think he would make a mistake like that. But Johnny Johnson, I'm having all kinds of different variations of his name now. I think he's a pretty good player. I'm not a favorite. He's not a favorite of mine. He's not a favorite of mine. He's just a nice, solid player. I like him better a little later. I like him better in the second round, to be honest. He's not going to be there in the second round. Rick's probably got a pretty good team. Well, I'll tell you this: if you think Johnny Johnson is a strong safety, I mean Jamal Adams any day of the week and twice on Sunday would be my view, personally. Now Shreveport, he's usually in the running as well. You got Case Keenum, and Giovanni Bernard. And looks like he could use a little help on defense. So, guys like Rick, guys like Dennis, they're great coaches. And if they want to focus on the year more than the future, they overachieve so often, they do so well that you really can't say wrong move. And I think Johnson's a good player. But I'm assuming he gives him a bump on the defense for the year, and that is very important. If you're going from average to good, or God forbid, from good to excellent, it looks like Rick's not going to excellent. So maybe he's going from average up into the good category. That is extremely impactful. I did some mathematical work on that a few years ago. It is very impactful. Now that they've nerfed the interceptions on those cards, I don't know if it's different, but it's very impactful. So I can't criticize him. I think Johnson's fine. I didn't have him that high myself. I certainly had Jamal Adams ahead of him. There's another safety I love who ended up with in the 3rd round. I'll get to him in a minute. Justin Evans. I love Justin Evans at Tampa Bay. But I was big on Von Bell last year, and he failed miserably. He did so well they had to draft Marcus Williams. So I don't like. So Johnson I like later, but I knew he was going to go because of the 5. But at least he's young. I think Johnson's a pretty good player. Like last year, it was last year or 2 years ago. I hated that Sean Davis pick when he took him in the late 1st round. But Johnson I think is a pretty good player. And I trust Wade Phillips with that defense as part of it as well. But I don't like Johnson at 17. There's just too many. Again, we're talking prospects. There's just a lot of guys I have ahead of him. Where is he on my big board, Mr. Johnson? 34, not bad. It's an early 2 in this league. It's an early 2 in the league, really. I got 34, which means I don't hate him. But part of that also is I know guys are going to draft him. I don't mind John Johnson. It's a safety position I had. Well, I put Jamal Adams 1, even though I might have liked Marcus Williams better than Jamal Adams, really, for Strat and for this league because he's a free safety. Well, really, the problem is Marcus can play either free safety or strong safety in the NFL if you look at him. And the problem is they've got Von Bell and Kurt Coleman as one of the safeties. Those 2 guys have extensive free safety history and skills. So Marcus could be a strong safety next year. If that happens, Gene will not be happy. Unless he has another good free safety on his team. I don't know. But anyway, I have no problem with Marcus. But I actually had Justin Evans as my 3rd safety. Budda Baker, I love Budda Baker as a player in the NFL. This guy, I think he's gonna be a great player in the NFL. I just don't know what he's gonna do in Strat. Is he gonna be a slot corner? Is he gonna be the third safety this year? And he gets like, I got to hope for the Ron Harmon rating. So Budda Baker was just a weird guy for me. If he was in the NFL, I'd be like, oh, I want him badly. In Strat, I have like a little bit of a question mark on how they're gonna rate him. Hopefully, rate him or position him. Hopefully, they don't screw him. So John Johnson went to what's his name, to Rick at 17. Then Dave Malt, quietly perhaps the best drafter in Northern Wind. This guy he drafts well every year. He's a great roster. I don't see a ton of trades ripping people off. I looked at it last year. And how would you like to be sitting there at number 18 and Dalvin Cook falls to you? Dalvin Cook falls to you at number 18. And you're already Dave Maltlicker, and you already got Jimmy Garoppolo. And you're already good at drafting guys all over the field. That's like a no-brainer. And if Dalvin Cook comes back the same way he was before the injury, this is going to look like a steal. And you can look at it, you're going to say, yeah, of course, Dave Malt gets a steal. Because Dave Malt knows what he's doing and makes good selections. So when the opportunity is there, he seizes upon it. And hello, Dalvin Cook has a pretty nice guard this year. So help on all fronts. I like that selection a lot. And this, like I said, I have some concerns about, is Dalvin Cook going to come back from the ACL and be the same type of runner he was before? I don't know yet. I would have liked to see more than 2 carries in that stupid preseason game. Can I get 4 or 5? Can I see him make 1 cut, please? I get 2 carries. Stupid Mike Zimmer. Doesn't he know I have a strat draft? I love Dalvin Cook. I love this guy. So if he's back to the way he was before the injury, this is a great spot to get him at 18. Like, top 10, I'm like, I don't know. I'm worried about the ACL. If you pick at 18, oh yeah, I'll take him. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I think if he's, like I said, if he's back the way he was before the ACL, absolute steal. I think he's an excellent player. If the ACL's hurt him at all, it didn't work out, but it's worth a gamble at 18. Absolutely. Number 19, everyone's favorite wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster. Not mine. I like Juju. Well, I don't get the feeling that if Juju's first name was Larry, no one would like him nearly as much. Everyone's like, Juju, I want Juju on my team. Juju. Okay. Dennis is Jujuing me all over the place. But Juju Smith-Schuster. I like Juju. Juju's real good. And I think Juju has number 1 wide receiver potential. And if he was on a team where he had to do that, I think he could do it. Absolutely. He's very interesting. He's very heady, very crafty. He's very strong, stronger than you realize. Very strong in the line of scrimmage. And he has the top-end speed. So I like Juju. But he is stuck with Antonio Brown for a couple of years. So I don't think he's going to be that number 1 right off the bat. And there was something slightly missing that made me think, I don't think this is not Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, But believe it or not, I think he could be like another Antonio Brown. I think it's odd that they're on the same team. But I think he could become that type of number 1 receiver. Not the 6'3", 6'4" Superman, but the like 6-foot guy who's just like with routes and technical ability and hands and intelligence is dominating. And I like Juju a lot. Believe it or not, people will be floored to this. My number 1 receiver in this draft was Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was like a 4th-round NFL pick, wasn't he? Might have been, I think it was his 4th or 3rd round in the NFL. Let me look and see. Usually I'm a little more better organized. When I have my Somifa files, they're organized differently. I think their layout is a little more conducive to clicking around between tabs and stuff for a show. Cooper was the 3rd-round pick, 69th pick in the draft, so early 3. It's not a knock on Juju. I like Juju a lot. But Cooper Kupp, to me, looks really, really good. I mean, a 6'2", 208. Here's my write-up on him. Starting, 24. He's 4 years older than Juju. Shows you how much, 3 years older. Shows you how much I like Cooper. 6'2", 208. This is my write-up. This guy is great. What's not to like? He has all of these shifty intangibles, but he's big and fast enough and just does tremendous things. He gets open easily. He makes guys miss. He leaps well. He catches the ball downfield well. He does all of these other little things that really help. And they say he has been unstoppable in training camp. I would love to get him. 62 catches, 14-yard average. He has been in training camp. They say he's just been really doing great, and that the rapport with Jared Goff has been outstanding. A little Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson like. They had a mixed scrimmage with the Ravens, and apparently they could not stop him. And I know they've got Brandon Cooks, and I know they got Robert Woods, and I know they got Todd Gurley. Just the highlights I saw, both college and the NFL, I was extremely impressed with Cooper Kupp. I do think he's a number one receiver. I have a very good track record with receivers. I love Cooper Kupp. I want him on my team. I want him on all my teams. And so far, I've had 2 drafts this fall, and I've got him both times. Traded up to get him, I think, number 34 or something. In S28, Dennis will benefit. That's a league we started last year on the GM 28-team league, keeper league. It's our second season. We got we got Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, Zach Ertz, Todd Gurley, Taylor Lewan, Andrew Norwell, Derek Barnett, of course. Other guys on defense who are good. We're going places. You might want to pull over. You might want to change lanes, folks, because we're coming strong down the highway with that team. Anywho, I think people will think I'm crazy and that I'm probably in the extreme minority. I love Cooper Kupp. I think he's literally a great player. And this is where I go out on a limb. Cooper Kupp was the number 11 player on my big board. Number 11 player on my big board. Ahead of Adoree Jackson, ahead of Alvin Kamara, ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster, who I like, ahead of Leonard Fournette, who I don't mind, ahead of David Njoku, who I really love, although he should stop allowing his roommate from raping girls in his apartment, which is a very terrible situation. Hopefully David's not wrapped up in it, but that's not what you want to hear, certainly from any human being. And I certainly wouldn't want to make light of that. But anyway, that's a bad situation. Hopefully David's not involved in it. Hopefully the young lady recovers as well as can be expected. Horrible. Anyway, so I've got Cooper Kupp 11 on my big board. Now, I'm not an idiot. Well, maybe I will be proved an idiot. We'll see what happens with his career. But I'm not going to be drafting Cooper Kupp 11th. Okay? I know that he's not valued that way. He's a wide receiver. It's a double-counting league. He's not even considered the best receiver in the draft. So I want to get him down lower. I'm hoping I can get him in the second round. He was in the mix for me at number 30, certainly, okay? But I like Juju a lot. I love Cooper. That's the way to read that, please. Don't tell me you didn't like Juju. I really, really love Cooper Kupp. And I think he's going to catch for at least 1,180 yards this year. No problem. Unless that bum Goff messes up. We'll see. So anyway, but Juju's a fine player. Juju's well proven. Paul gets him number 19, Paul Power. I've got the power. So Deshaun Watson and Juju, that's a nice mix. I would be concerned about Cooper's ability to get good long pass receiving cards. I think he's only 9-15 this year. Juju's either maxed out or 12-18 he's maxed out. Claude even includes the receiving thing here. Another nice job by Claude. I told you about the thoroughness. Kudos. So Juju goes 19. No, I don't have a problem with that. Carolina number 20 takes Solomon Thomas. That's Dan Sir. Now, I will tell you that I do my video work, and sometimes I'm wrong and sometimes I'm right. Not a big Solomon Thomas fan. I know he went third in the draft. I know he's 6'3", 280. I know he graded out okay against the run. When I watch his highlights, both in college and NFL, where is the explosion? Where is the great explosion? Where is the closing speed? Where is the stuff that makes you go, oh, wow. Like you watch some of these first-round guys, defenders. You watch Myles Garrett. You watch T.J. Watt. You watch William Jackson III. You watch Derek Barnett. God knows, you watch Reuben Foster. These guys leap off the highlights. You're like, okay, which guy am I looking at? Oh, I guess it's him. Jeez, oh yeah, it is him. These guys stand out. Solomon Thomas does not stand out at all. And he's not a defensive tackle. He's a defensive end. So maybe I'm wrong about him. I'm sure he doesn't look awful. I think he could be a fine player, be a 5'7" type of defensive end. But he doesn't do it for me. He doesn't scream to me very high pick. But I understand not everyone has the same opinion. John Lynch in the NFL, who is he in the Hall of Fame? If he's not, he might be soon. He certainly didn't have the same opinion. So he goes number 20. He was drafted top 5, so we'll see. He's the guy I'm not a big fan of. Number 21, this hurt me a little bit. It hurt me a little bit, and maybe it helped me a little bit. We'll see. The commissioner, the CEO, the draft administrator extraordinaire, Larry Davis, is back with the team. You got Larry Davis and Neil Shannon in the expansion draft. And by the way, can I just say, what a pool of talent they had in the expansion draft. As my phone rings needlessly. I promise you it's no one I want to talk to. I probably minimized the expansion draft. Here we go. The expansion draft results. I mean, they were drafting Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Julio Jones, Rob Gronkowski. Only 2 teams. Lawrence had a really good team, and Dana was doing a nice job drafting as well. Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Julio Jones, Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Jadeveon Clowney, Danielle Hunter, a couple of first-round picks, Chris Harris, Justin Houston. They were J.J. Watt, Jay Ajayi at number 18, and your 9th-round pick in the expansion draft. Then second-round picks coming in. Shaq Thompson, the 13th, your 13th best player. Now, it did thin out as they do, and they're hurt by not being able to trade, which we're going to get rid of next year, I hope. Not rookie coaches, but veteran coaches who come back to the league. I made a proposal to Larry for next year's rules meeting, which I think will be accepted. Basically, if a guy leaves the league in good standing, and he was in the league at least 3 years in a row, and then when he comes back to the league, he's allowed to draft right off the bat. Not allowing rookie coaches to draft, I can see the argument for it if you'd like to make it. Personally, I would just monitor their trades more closely, but they're not big on monitoring trades over here. Well, let's not get into that ball of wax. But I could see wanting to look out for the rookie coaches. But if a guy is an experienced track coach with a long history in autumn wind, and oopsful, whatever you want to call it, oopsful. Larry Davis and Neil Shannon, I don't think we need to say, all right, guys, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're bringing a team back. And Larry, you're the commissioner, so I know you know what's going on. Let's make sure you can demonstrate a commitment to autumn wind. And let's make sure that you can demonstrate a knowledge of the autumn wind environment before we allow you the great privilege of trading. So I made that should get passed next year. That if we have a guy come back in the league who was a longtime member and left in good standing, take off the kid glove, let the guy trade. If you got a newbie and you don't let him trade, fine. But, to have Larry Davis and Neil Shannon not trading is just silly. I think they're showing that they can handle the awesome responsibility of making a strat trade in this league. So Larry is drafting number 21. I'm sitting at number 22. Mind you, I traded him down from 15 to 22. Christian McCaffrey was the guy I was going to take at 15. And I said, if I trade him down at 22, I might not get him, but I will get him or Derek Barnett. And then probably not have to trade from 30 to 23 or 24. So I'm sitting there at 22. McCaffrey and Derek Barnett are both there. And I was pretty confident Derek Barnett would be there 22. I feel like I just had to stay ahead of Claude. I wanted to stay, what's his name? Ed Carpenter was at 24. And Claude was at 26. And Neil Shannon was at 29. So I want to stay ahead of those 3 guys to make sure I get Derek Barnett. I know Claude knows what he's doing. There was a lot of good players there. So I'm not saying that Barnett, they would definitely take Barnett, but they were the ones concerning me. And I wanted Barnett. So I wanted to stay ahead of those guys. So now I'm thinking, if it gets to 22, I heard that a deal worked out with Ed Carpenter to move from 3rd to 24. So, boy, I could take McCaffrey at 22 and then make my deal with Ed Carpenter, and I'll get McCaffrey and Barnett. Bingo, winning. But Larry crushed my taking McCaffrey. He also let me off the hook. Because, okay, it's a double counting league. You're taking a running back, Tom, again in the first round for the 3rd time in 6 years when you're not even competing because you like the guy. So at least now you don't have to take the running back because he took McCaffrey. I like McCaffrey a lot. I know he's a bit of a gamble. Great spot. 20, like that's a perfect spot to get him. Like I said, Dalvin Cook at 18, McCaffrey 21. Like you get those guys like 18 or later, perfect spot. You're not making a horrible gamble. You're not taking him number 9 overall. It's a reasonable gamble, right? Especially McCaffrey, who's a little more of a gamble, I think. Especially the way they used him last year, but now they have a new offensive coordinator, North Turner. So Larry took McCaffrey. I like the pick a lot. I like the player a lot. Bit of a gamble, perfect spot to do it. But 21, that's a little bit of a slide, even in the double counting league. So I came up at 22, Berlin Thunder. I took Derek Brandon, who I like a lot, I already spoke about. I need guys in defense. I need like 8 long-term starters in defense, which, there's only 11 guys that start. So if you need 8 long-term starters, that's a lot. I need 3.5 starters on offense. You guys are going to laugh if you do the way I did things. I need 3.5 starters on offense long term. I need 8 on defense. I basically have almost no defense. So it was good for in double counting league to take a defensive player I like a lot in the first round. I have some defensive end talent, but no one that I'm sure about. Anthony Zettel had a great year last year. I like him, but I'm not 100% confident that he's going to continue to do well. Then Shaq Lawson is on the bench right now. He's been up and down. Had a pretty decent camp from what I read, but he's still on the bench. Dante Fowler I like a lot, but he's on the bench in Jacksonville. Should be a free agent next year. He'll probably end up as an edge rusher somewhere. I don't know if that makes him a 4-3 defensive end or a 3-4 OLB. So Barnett, I feel, is pretty solid to add to that group. He becomes the alpha dog in that group, and we'll see if the other guys can sort themselves out and give me something at the other defensive end position and maybe some depth to trade from. One of the reasons I'm shopping Anthony Zettel. Really, those are the only 2 guys that I was really going to take there, as much as I like Cooper Kupp. Then Butch took Evan Engram. I like Evan Engram a lot. I don't think he can block very well, although I read that he was working on that and doing good things with that in camp. But this guy, receiving tight end, forget about it. The Giants are just silly, man. I mean, if Eli could just play kind of okay, I mean, the Giants' weapons, you got Odell Beckham Jr., Saquon Barkley, and Evan Engram. And hello, Sterling Shepard's a very good receiver. Very good number 2 receiver in the NFL. And those guys are healthy, and the offensive line's improved. It's not going to be, it's not going to be the Dallas Cowboys, but it should be at least okay now. And that's all you really need is okay. You don't need a great line. Just don't suck horribly. Just don't make it impossible to, run a normal offense. But if the offensive line is kind of okay, and Eli, is still all right, throw into Beckham and Barkley and Engram and Shepard. Wow. It's like, the greatest show on turf, but in the Meadowlands, it's not what you normally think of. I got to mute this 1 second. I got to tell my wife to do something. Hold on. I'm back. She's going to take care of something for me, but I can do the show. It might be a little awkward for a few minutes, but not yet, but in a few minutes. So yeah, Engram, I like him a lot, man. As a receiver. Now I really like Njoku, and Njoku looks more spectacular when you watch them play. But I had put Engram ahead of him slightly. Njoku's a bigger, stouter looking guy. Engram's taller, but Njoku looks, more powerfully built by far. And he looks more explosive, but Engram he's pretty much a wide receiver playing tight end. If he was on any other team, you'd be like, oh yeah, 85 catches this year. But, because they got Beckham, I don't know how many catches Grant Ingram's going to get. I'm sure he's going to get over 60, but Excellent player, boy. He's excellent. So backing that up, Cleveland took O.J. Howard. Now, O.J. is very interesting to me. First round pick out of Alabama. I had him as a number 3 tight end, and I really didn't want him, not because he's bad. But like I watch his college highlights, I watch NFL stuff, and I just two things about OJ. He's 6'6", first of all, okay? He has very good top speed, okay? But the elusivity, the ability to get open easily, I didn't see that as much with him. I love his rookie card. It looks real nice. It's better than it probably should be for a guy with only 26 catches or whatever, especially the short pass and the flat pass yardage. And also what I noticed about him, which I've been watching video work to scout players for maybe 2 or 3 years. Okay, so it's not an extensive history, but it's just at least my 3rd year doing it. I've never seen a tight end not break any tackles. This guy, as soon as they hit him, he went down every single time. I'm like, what's going on here? Like every tight end, you see like the highlights, he's always breaking at least breaking some tackles in the highlights, but not OJ. And he's got the top end speed, but the quickness, the burst is not always there right away, I feel like. But maybe it's just harder to see. Sometimes some of these taller guys are very fluid with their stride. It's harder to see. So I don't think he's a bad player. I think he'll be fine. You have to be impressed with the card he has as a rookie and the average he has as a rookie. And they do have Winston, who can definitely throw the ball down the field. But I didn't like him there. Certainly, I had. If you're going to look at the 24th pick in the draft, who was available here. Now, obviously, we know I liked Cooper Kupp, Jalen Smith, Jamal Adams. I liked Njoku better. But OJ's down there somewhere. So I could see the pick. He's not one of my favorites. I try to be very safe with my first-round picks. He's not one of my favorites. But I don't think he's bad. And he could have tremendous upside. I mean, the card looks great, so we'll see what happens. You also still have Cameron Brate, who Winston likes throwing to a nice safety valve. So we'll see. So I don't think OJ's a bad pick. Just my personal preference. I like Njoku a lot as well. I mentioned Ingram. I like Njoku a lot as well. If I was an NFL team, I'd probably take Njoku over Ingram. I like Njoku a lot. I know he had some problem with some drops during the Hard Knocks and stuff like that. Just a personal preference, but I can't knock the pick. I'm just not sold on O.J. Howard completely yet. I don't think he's all a bad player, but I'd like to see a little more than I've seen so far. We'll see what happens. Number 25, Houston Texans, Nathan Baylor. Surprised me and didn't surprise me. I like Joe Mixon. I like Joe Mixon quite a bit. I think after your first, is it 5 running backs? A lot of running. This draft is like running backs and corners. You have the 2 quarterbacks at the top, and it's like running backs and corners. There's so much depth there, and even safeties got good safeties. Running backs and corners is it's just the 2 quarterbacks, running backs and corners, with like one guy at another position mixed in. Myles Garrett, defensive end, J.J. Watt, outside linebacker. Juju, wide receiver. It's like one guy from that position gets sprinkled in. Otherwise, it's all like running backs and corners. So you got the 5 running backs: Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. Pretty nice group. And then there's definitely a drop off, I think, to Joe Mixon, but I like Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is good. He's real quick. I like that acceleration. People worry about the top end speed. I need the acceleration. Because he's going to get the top speed, but how quickly can you get through the hole and get that positive yardage going? So I like Joe Mixon. I'm a little disappointed with his rookie stats, but their offensive line wasn't very good. I liked him a little later, maybe 8 to 12 picks later. I like him more in that sort of 30 to 35 range, probably. But a good player. And Nathan likes to take skill players. Doesn't mind taking a running back. And running backs are very valuable. He's got his quarterback with Dak Prescott. Disappointing sophomore year, but I still think Prescott's a good quarterback. You don't have to, feel like you got to replace him, certainly. That's not the case. So interesting pick. A bit of a gamble. A little earlier than I would like. But Nathan, I don't think, had a ton of picks. So I think that's fine. And we'll see if Joe does well. Nathan and I have had some interesting history with running backs I liked and didn't like. For example, I think I didn't like, I didn't like TJ Yeldon at all. We took, I think, early second round, maybe Northern Wind. But I really liked Jeremy Langford, who took like late second round. And they were both terrible. I mean, Jeremy Langford was a total bust. He's out of the NFL, basically. Got supplanted by a guy named Jordan Howard. And Yeldon has been disappointing. So it's a weird history that I've had with some of these running backs with Nathan recently. But we both like Mixon. I just liked him a little lower. If there was an opportunity to trade back a little bit there, I think I would have liked to see him take that. But then again, after Mixon, there's other running backs who aren't bad, who are intriguing. You know, Marlon Mack, Corey Clement, but nobody you're going to take nearly that high. No one you would feel as good about as Joe Mixon, certainly. So Nathan's probably like, why do I want to trade back and pick up a 4 and risk losing a back who I like? I guess he likes Mixon, which I understand. So he took Mixon 25. Montreal, Claude, well, just a nice clean single to left field. Take Zach Cunningham for the Houston Texans, number 26. People may recall I was big on Bernard McKinney a couple of years ago. I got him on a couple of teams, or at least on one team. And, you know, Zach Cunningham reminds me of Bernard McKinney. They're kind of similar, like good all-around linebackers. I think Cunningham is supposed to be better in pass coverage. McKinney more of the thumper. Getting me hungry. I may have to stop this show and continue it. We'll see before I get lightheaded. The wife was eating earlier. I just realized I really hardly ate lunch. I ate a little something, but so I think Cunningham's a very safe pick. You know, he's a starting inside linebacker. He graded out pretty well. He's a second-round NFL pick. He looks fine on tape. I wish he was a little more explosive. Wish he was a little faster. I like Jalen Smith a lot. Jalen Smith, I wasn't that thrilled with his rookie highlights, but he was still recovering from that nerve damage. I actually didn't even love his college highlights as much as other people who said he was like a top 10 pick based upon his college highlights. But in camp, they say he's been amazing. And I saw some clips of it, and he looks way better than I've ever seen him before. Now, who knows how long he'll have a healthy NFL career. He's got injury flags, but I still would have taken my chances with him. And he was a guy that I was really eyeing as we were getting close to my second first-round pick at number 30 after I took Derek Barnett, number 22. But Claude went for the safer play, which is not a bad move. You know, Cunningham is a safe, solid, reliable player. I don't think he's ever going to be great. I don't think he's ever going to be terrible. Maybe he's always going to be a 45. I hope he gets to a 55 or something like that. But he'll be there for your defense. Linebacker's hard to fill, late first round. Just like Ryan Ramczyk. When you're rebuilding, you can get safe, long-term players who are going to be there for a while, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's always a good move. Always a good move. Now, that's one less position for you to worry about next year and in your next selection. We're getting close to wrapping up the first round, and then we're going to go team by team. But number 27, Cam Robinson, the Gary Nagata. They got to believe. Gary should have traded down me. My friend. I offered him not a great offer. Not a great offer to trade up from 46 and then to trade up from 30. No, I backed off on trading up from 30 because I saw that the talent was falling when I saw Jalen Smith and Cooper Kupp and Jamal Adams all there. Well, I'm going to trade up from 30 to 27. So Cam Robinson seems to be the offensive tackle that everyone's liking more than they probably should. Is it because he went to Alabama? Because he was a high second-round pick and got a rookie 4.5? It could be all the above. He was known for being very talented, but his PFF grades were putrid. They were horrible. If you went by his PFF grades, he'd be a 0-0. They were like under 45 in everything. When I see those PFF grades and a good rookie strat rating of 4.5, I get nervous. And I say, it's Greg Robinson all over again. Greg Robinson, second pick of the draft. Offensive lineman drafted so highly, usually do well. He got like a 4.7, like his second year. And everyone's like, oh, away we go. I was like, yeah, not so fast. His PFF grades after that, I spent a lot of time on a spring show talking about that a couple of years ago. His PFF grades on that projected 4.7 were terrible. He got a 4.7 because his run grade was, like over 60 or something. He got the 4. Big deal. It wasn't like he got like a 78 run grade. They only gave him a 4. He got like a 60 something. They gave him a 4 generously. And then the Rams offense wasn't sacked at all hardly ever, even though his PFF pass blocking grade was bad. So I had no confidence in him, and sure enough, he ended up being a bust. Now, Cam Robinson's a young player. I like the system in Jacksonville. I like the coaching staff in Jacksonville. I like everything they're doing with that team right now. But I would be nervous about taking him number 27 overall. And I would certainly not take him. Certainly not take him over Garrett Bowles or Deion Dawkins, who blew him away in PFF grades. Blew him away in PFF grades. Bowles did not grade well against in pass blocking, but at least he had a very strong run grade. Robinson had nothing. I'd rather have a guy with a great run grade than a guy with no good grade at all. And Dawkins was impressive last year. So might get hit with the sacks because of the young quarterback, which Mick pointed out in the general channel of Slack today. But I'm going to be saying all these things all over again next week for the draft recap. Only that'll be live, and Dennis will probably be with me. But so I worry about that pick, Gary. I can understand why it's made. I just have some concerns about Mr. Robinson. I don't like him nearly as much as everyone else. He's actually a guy I try to shy away from in this draft. Let someone else take him. If he does well, great. He's got the talent, high second round pick. He's got the size, like the coaching staff. Rookie 4.5. I could see him becoming good. I just felt like he's a bit of a risky pick. Certainly, I would take in Bowles or Deion Dawkins over him personally, and he was more of a guy I wanted to stay away from, but we'll see what happens. Chicago Bears, Luke, I'm your father. Annoyed. If your name is Luke, and you're like, 45 and under, your entire life people have been making stupid Star Wars jokes to you, stupid Darth Vader jokes to you. Use the Force, Luke. I guess that'd be Obi-Wan, whatever. But, and I just did it to Luke. My bad. So did you build up a lot of rage inside of you when you've been hearing nothing but Darth Vader and Star Wars jokes your entire life, or do you become indifferent to it? I'm used to it. I guess it depends. Hopefully Luke doesn't have too much rage over that. So then we get to a guy that Luke takes here, number 28. Very, very interesting guy. Hassan Reddick. Hassan Chop from the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. This guy's he was like a converted edge rushing defensive end from Temple. Very, very good athlete. He was a walk-on at Temple, for Christ's sake. But great athlete. Looks real good rushing the passer. Now they've got him standing up as a linebacker. They play a lot of 2 linebacker sets over there, or now their defense has changed. Steve Wilkes is in. I would have liked Reddick a little more. Well, Todd Bowles was the one that was using all these guys innovatively, and he's not there anymore. But so Reddick's got a ton of athletic ability. It looks real good. Let's see if they can mold him into an excellent player. And I said some similar things last year to a guy who got drafted in this neighborhood in Autumn Wind, which is Miles Jack. Miles Jack was a tremendous athlete. The difference is Miles Jack was a true linebacker in college. And I remember watching Miles Jack college and saying, man, this guy's great against the pass. But where were the rookie grades? So I wasn't sure what to make of him. The Reddick has all the athleticism just like Jack did. They got to coach it out of him. I used to feel like I was more performance-based. If the guy looked like a great athlete, but you didn't see the performance, I wanted to stay away. But I've noticed in recent years that a lot of those guys are actually coming through, especially that they're fast. A lot of those guys do eventually come through. They need a couple of years of coaching. Ryan Shazier is a great example of that until, of course, the career-ending injury last year. He was a super athlete, came in the NFL. Oh, look how fast this guy is. Where are the grades? They're not that great. So you're not getting good strat stuff out of him. Then you fast forward about 2 years, and all of a sudden, Ryan Shazier is playing really good. And he was a budding Pro Bowler, and then curing the injury. So Reddick to me is interesting. A bit of a project. Might take him a year or two to really get going. I would have taken other safer players. Of course, I like Cooper Kupp, David Njoku, Jamal Adams, Small, and Humphrey. A lot of guys who went right after him. I like Jalen Smith too, but I understand some people might have wanted to stay away because of the injury history. So I like Reddick. He's interesting. Like I said about Joe Mixon, I like him maybe just a few picks later. You pop him, maybe if you're getting Hassan Reddick at 33, 36, 38, ideally like 40, 41, 42. I'm going further and further. Then I'm like, okay, let's see what he got. Let's see what we can do. I just feel like there were safer players like Cooper Kupp and Jamal Adams. Very, very safe guys, I feel like. I'm probably in the great minority of Cooper Kupp. We'll find out when people start revealing their true views about these guys. There'll be probably autumn wind draft recap write-ups. I probably won't do one for my team. We'll see. I might do one for my team. We'll see. Until after Samifa, I'm so paranoid right now. So Reddick, 28, good, great athlete. I like him slightly later, 10, 12 picks later. Wouldn't mind seeing a trade back there if possible. You do get 5 minutes in the first round, but great athlete. We'll see what happens. Baltimore Colts, Neil Shannon, very good drafter, very good GM, very good coach. He does it all. Loves his defense. I'm picking him at 30, and I love Jalen Smith. And I'm like, oh, man, double counting league. I just took Derek Barnett 22. My defense blows. Ryan Shazier had a career-ending injury, so I had to trade him. Oh, if I can get Jalen Smith, and he'll be my inside linebacker, and I'll be okay, even though Ryan Shazier had a career-ending injury, so I had to trade him. I'm only one pick away. Sounds good. And then, of course, Neil has to dash my dreams and take Jalen Smith. Segue time. We're doing the Strat-O-Matic rookie draft, multi-day draft, because Dennis likes to make the draft last 2 weeks every time. Can we draft 1 day, 6 hours? Why do I have to spend 2.5 hours every day for 10 days trying to figure out who to pick? Can we just do 1 day? What a win. We just did 150 picks in 4 hours. Samifo does 240 picks in like 5 hours. 1 day draft, please. You're killing me with these 10-day drafts. And these last we drafted for a month and a half. Inaugural draft. No good, Mr. Crowley. I don't think he's listening. He's going to claim he listened, but he's not listening. The show's going to be too long for him. Plus, it's all me monologuing, which is probably repetitious for many, many listeners. I feel pretty sharp right now. Must be the caffeine pill. So hopefully I'm not being too dull. So anyway, this guy's drafting 5th overall in the Strat-O-Matic rookie draft. He thought Myles Garrett was going to get to him. Myles Garrett goes 4. I thought Myles Garrett was going to be there for number 5. We're doing a multi-day draft. Guys started drafting like early. So this is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This guy has until like 8 p.m. to make his pick. And he sits there. I'm going to wait and see if anyone wants to trade up. So I'm going to sit and wait for 7 hours because I didn't have a plan of what to do at number 5 if the guy I wanted wasn't there. We've only been waiting for 3. It's Dave Gabbard. We're only waiting for 3 months, Dave, who I like. He's a great guy. I love you, Dave Gabbard. We're only waiting for 3 months to draft. I thought Myles Garrett was going to be there. Well, you're picking 5th. You can't pick 5 guys? You can't choose 5 guys, so if Myles Garrett is gone, you have someone else ready to go? Oh, gee. Ruin my plans. Look, if you're drafting in the first round, you have to have ready to go a number of guys equal to your selection. Now, it's okay to say, okay, I'm going to take Myles Garrett. If he's not there, I'm going to try and trade down. Okay, that's a fine plan. But the plan should not be, I'm going to take Myles Garrett. If he's not there, I'm completely lost and don't know what to do. That is not a good plan. When you're drafting 5th, you need to prepare to draft 5 guys because the first 4 guys you want might be gone. Please. That's another reason to do live draft, Mr. Crowley. so we don't get Dave Gabbarded 3 times. Then he's like trades down to 13. He gets to 13. I'm going to try and trade down again. This guy was holding down. This guy held down the draft for like 9 hours over 3 picks by himself. The first round. The rest of us are all ready. We're all ready to go. Dave Gabbard is going to just destroy the first round, destroy any pleasure that anyone could possibly get for drafting in the first round. That's a punishment for being a playoff team. We got to draft 24th. Well, this guy doesn't know what to do, so he's trading down and waiting to trade down again every single time. 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. After we've all been waiting months to draft, and for most of us, it was the first draft of the year. I was, as you could tell, I was more than a little displeased. Now, it worked out well for Dave's team. He did a good job, and he got extra assets, and he traded down, blah, blah, blah. But come on, man. Have a plan. If you think you might want to trade down from 5, work something out with a couple of guys in the days before the draft. Don't wait till on the clock and hold the rest of us up for 8 hours because you can't, because you don't know what to do if Myles Garrett is gone, number 5. He might be gone. He was the first pick of the NFL draft. He's a rookie 5'8". He might be gone. There's a chance that the first pick in the draft was a 5'8" as a rookie defensive end, might not make it to number 5. There's a decent chance. Plan on it. Gosh. Oh, I don't want. Oh, it's killing me. I'm pushing for the live draft, Dennis. Make Dave Gabbard make a selection. If you got to make a pick, Dave, you have 5 minutes, not 8 hours. Want to trade down now. You have 5 minutes. And I'm going to stick Larry Davis on you. And David will. Tell Mark Lepage to send you an angry email in French. You have to use Google Translate to figure out how you're being insulted. Oh, why? There's always something that gets me upset in these shows. I was going to say, why are you guys always upset at me? I guess it's me for being too easily upset. Last year we had the, what was it? The stupid draft chart. Oh, I don't know. Well, the chart says I should. So don't make a trade. All right, because I don't have that pick. I don't have selection 82. I have selection 89. So the chart says 15 more points. We have 60 seconds to make a deal. So we can't make a deal because we're 15 points off of the chart. We have 60 seconds. Forget the chart, guys. Who cares? Dave Gabbard. 8 hours. I gotta wait, and then he waits. He takes up 8 hours, and the rest of us, you have 15 minutes to draft only because he uses up all the time greedily and selfishly and inconsiderately. So we have 10 minutes to figure out to trade down. He gets all day. Good system. Anyway, I hope Dennis wins a championship in that league this year. This guy's got me angry. Todd Gurley. Nice. I'm angry now. Any energy level of depletion, any thoughts of hunger have evaporated. My anger has superseded them. I'm supercharged. I'm like Superman flying close to the sun when he gets weak or whatever. Isn't that one of his things? So anyway, drive me crazy. So anyway, Neil takes Jalen Smith, who I think looks great, number 29. Kudos, thumbs up. I like the pick a lot. I'm hoping to get him in. So I'm at 27. Him or Cooper Kupp, I'm mine down there. 30 comms, I take Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp. I know he's a wide receiver. I know it's a double counting league. I know there's some wide receiver depth in this class. But I like him near the top. I'm going to have to end this show. I'm going to eat something before I get too lightheaded. Anywho, we'll see. I paired Cooper Kupp at number 30 with Tyreek Hill. So if Andrew Luck comes back next year, you can throw the ball to Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp. I got to have C.J. Anderson's backup Carolina card. And I'll have to get a running back, but I should have a high pick. So we'll see. Maybe next year we could actually win some games. We're getting there. It only takes 5 years. So that was the first round. It only took me about 2 hours to do. took me longer to talk about the first round. It took you guys to draft the first round. And that's at 5 minutes a pick. So going down the picks that I dinged, Trubisky number 4. I understand you have to do it. I understand a lot of guys feel like you have to do it. ESPN total PER predicts a failure. We'll see if it happens. Kareem Hunt 7's got a good card. Looked good as a rookie. Let's see what happens. I do kind of like Kareem Hunt. It's so hard with these rookie running backs who come from nowhere and have a great year. William Jackson I love, number 10. Higher than I thought he would go, but I love him. So I say kudos there. Reuben Foster, Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame? Because he is an awesome player with awesome off-the-field problems. So let's see what he can do. Tremont Williams. Why? Joe, you're killing me. John Johnson, interesting. Dalvin Cook slipped. Juju's a good player. 19's a nice spot to get him. I'm not a big Solomon Thomas fan, but everyone else probably likes him. McCaffrey I like. 21's a nice spot for him. You know I'm goo-goo for Barnett. Gaga for Barnett. Ingram I like. O.J. Howard looks pretty good with the card. Was a first-round pick. I don't know. Something seems to be missing. Let's see what he can do. Mixing a little early, but I like the player. Cunningham, nice, solid player. Cam Robinson, I'm not that big on. Hassan Reddick, all the athletic talent in the world. They're going to coach it out. Let's see what happens. Jalen Smith, I love. Of course, Cooper Kupp, I love. Otherwise, I guess I wouldn't be taking him at number 30. And I really like these guys who went 1, 2, 3 in the second round. Jamal Adams, David Njoku, and Marlon Humphrey. Get your second-round pick in a 30-team league. You get one of those 3 guys, you're doing well. Now I'm going to go team by team as we enter the third hour of our show, probably. And naturally, I just closed. Damn it. I closed my PDF reader. Thankfully, Claude has these beautiful team-by-team draft reports. Or round by round, whatever your flavor is. Claude has you covered. Mr. Turcotte, the Montreal Alouette, GM and head coach. In the midst of a retooling / rebuilding. I think he's probably a decent club this year. Those guys don't like to lose. They don't like to lose as much as I do. I don't mind. If I'm rebuilding, by all means, beat the crap out of me. Let me go 0-16, 2-14, 1-15. Enjoy your 41-10 victory. I'll get there. I'm building. I'm looking forward to it. So let's go team by team. Try and do it real quick. Baltimore Colts, Neil Shannon, 129. The first two picks I've already spoken about at length. So here's where you're going to hear more about the other picks. 129, Jalen Smith, I like a lot. 381, Olsen Pierre. Kind of like him. He's backing up this year. Carlos Watkins got some ability. Chris Moore's got ability, deep playability. So not bad. The other 2 guys not that big on. But not a bad little haul for a guy who only had 1 pick in the first 80. And sometimes you get some players who they're backing up right now, but they have ability, and you hope that they'll become starters within a year or 2. I think Olsen Pierre, Carlos Watkins, and Chris Moore all fit that description. Pierre also helping for the year as a 4-6 defensive end. Remember, of course, the Colts, just like the Packers, can't trade. I wonder if we can get rid of the entire rookie no trading restriction and maybe monitor their trades more. What a coincidence, Berlin Thunder. I guess I shouldn't move my team to St. Louis. I'll stay in Berlin. So I'm always near the top of the draft report for the show. It's a good move. Should move to Anchorage. Anchorage, Alaska. I'll go first then. Okay. So I started out 15-30, traded down to 22, picked up late 3, and then used late 3, which some people thought was mystifying, to move up from 46 to 39. There was a thinning out of players there, and I haven't had a good corner on this team ever. And I like Shaq Griffin. I think he's reliable, solid. I see 5s for him, maybe an occasional 6. But I do like him. His rookie grade was like 77, which is very good for rookie corner. And I like him with the naked eye. And I wanted to make sure I got a solid corner. So I said, late 3rd round in this league, there were some players I was going to like down there. But I need to get a secondary because I'm just getting destroyed every year with poor pass defense. So if I like, and I told myself today, I'm not going to be timid. I like a guy, I'm going to trade up. I don't like my position, I'm going to trade down. I don't want to be timid. So if there's plenty of talent, I'll wait for the guys to come. But if there's a particular positional need and the talent is there and I like the guy, I don't want to take a chance. There's a good chance he would have been there. It's only 7 picks. I don't want to take the chance. And you're going to say, we get the same price to trade down in this first round. You did trade up in the second round. I don't care about where these prices are being set. Who are the players I want and how can I get them? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get players. I'm not trying to get value, arbitrary numbers on a chart. Give me the players that I want. If I'm getting them reasonably. So basically, I look at it as instead of 15 and 46, I had 22 and 39. That doesn't sound so bad. Anywho, so I could care less. Oh, you didn't get the right value. Good. Yeah, that's right. I didn't. Who cares? I wanted these players and I got them. So anyway, Derek at 22, I like him a lot. Cooper Kupp, I like him a lot. Number 30, I spoke with those two guys. Shaq Griffin, I think, is a pretty solid player. Number 39, solid, reliable corner. No, he's not the next Richard Sherman. But I think he's a reliable 5 type of corner. Not the fastest guy in the world, but must have tremendous technique, intelligence, and strength at the line of scrimmage. So I think it'll be like a nice kind of safe corner for me. I actually have some safeties. Demarius Randall, I'm encouraged by him becoming the starting free safety in Cleveland. He was both the safety and a corner in college. Obviously, he floundered miserably as a corner in Green Bay, one of my former first-round picks. But I'm encouraged by the move to safety. Hopefully, he can be at least okay over there in Cleveland and give me some value out of that guy instead of nothing. And I got Bradley McDougald is 27 on the card, starting at one of the safety spots for Seattle. So, and I still wouldn't mind getting on the safety. I did, but at least there's something out of safety. But corner, I don't have much. Aaron Colvin got a nice contract, but he might still be a nickel corner. Kevin King at 41. It's early for Kevin King. I probably could have got him later. But and I gambled big time here. I mentioned taking safe picks, but I love Kevin King as a player. I love him as a player. He's tall and fast with long arms. He looks like he's bigger than any cornerback you've ever seen, okay? But normally, I wouldn't view that as a positive because normally some of those long, tall corners, they're not quick enough to handle all the short stuff that's thrown at them nowadays. And they don't have great acceleration oftentimes with those long legs. I almost prefer a corner like 5'10", 6 foot, right? But Kevin King in the highlights I saw, wow, he is very quick. He moves his feet very quickly. And, doesn't have a problem shifting and changing gears quickly. And he uses his arms like he's freaking Spider-Man or somebody. And oh, I see the pass coming. You have a half a step on me. Watch while I reach my 6'4" arm out and deflect it away easily. He doesn't have to make a diving one-handed stop like all these other corners do. I was blown away by this guy's tape. Blown away. Having said that, he cannot stay healthy. He injured his shoulder last year and had surgery in the offseason. Then about 2 weeks ago, he injured the other shoulder. The first shoulder was finally good, took off the brace, and hurt the other shoulder. But they say he's okay and he's ready for week 1. So he's injury prone. So I took a big gamble here. It's not the type of pick I normally would make. I normally would have gone for someone safer, and I had safer players. But the upside there is great. And we're double counting. I said, I'm going to take a gamble on this guy, even though it's early for him. And I traded up to get the other guy. I said, I take a gamble here. So I took a gamble, and we'll see if it works out. Or if Aaron Colvin can step into that other corner spot. And I'll probably take more corners in the future because I love corners. And I've been neglecting them with this team because it hasn't worked out with the draft. So we'll see what happens. So that's a big wild card. So that is a huge gamble to me at 41, Kevin King. And I needed to, I know we'll see if it comes through or not. Then I had to wait a while. Top of the third round, Justin Evans. I love this guy. He is a big, fast, tall, smart, free safety who graded out terribly against the pass last year, like a lot of these young free safeties seem to do. And I'm hoping he comes through. Now he's playing with a bad foot now, but it's the early third round. I really like this guy a lot. When I like a guy, I will draft him in every single league that I'm in. I don't care. Some guys like, oh, you got to spread. What if he gets hurt? Well, if he doesn't get hurt, I look at Ray Lewis. I had Ray Lewis on one of my team when I was a rookie. Then my other team said, well, don't take Ray Lewis. Take another linebacker because he might get hurt. I want the best player that I can get. If I like the guy and he's available, I'm going to take him. I don't want to take a guy that I think is inferior, so he's not on all my teams. If he gets hurt on all my teams, I'll get another free safety in each team. It's a little extra work, but okay. I really like Justin Evans, and I really hope he comes through because he's a naked eye guy I like. And the guys I like with the naked eye, I want them to come through more, even if they're not on my team, because then it says, okay, you're doing a good job evaluating these guys. I like Von Bell a lot, and he has done nothing so far. So this could be another one like that. We'll see. Matt Milano, I like a lot with the naked eye. Smaller, fast linebacker. I like his athleticism. Played pretty well for Buffalo last year. He's supposed to start. Hard position to fill. Middle of the third round. I took him a little too highly. We'll see what happens. Took Andrew Billings 8 picks later. I'm a 3-4 guy. There's no nose tackles to be had. I blew it last year with the nose tackles. This guy looks real good. I might go 4-3. I don't have any. I have like Austin Johnson, my only other defensive tackle. He's still on the bench. I'm hoping he eventually starts for Tennessee. And they have their inside linebackers, thanks to Ryan Shazier, and thanks to Neil Shannon taking Jalen Smith from me. So the triangle of my defense is weak. So it's maybe I'll go 4-3 next year. It's easy to pick up a defensive tackle. So I drafted Billings. If he's anything, maybe I can play 4-3. We'll see in the future. Then I had to wait a while. 4th round, Ethan Pochik, Seattle offensive lineman. Not the best track record in the world. That goes without saying. All right, 2nd round pick. He's starting on the left side of guard, so we'll see what happens. Carolina, Solomon Thomas, Mike Williams in the 2nd round. I like him. I think he's got extensive injury history, but playing great in camp. Charles Harris, I kind of like, not starting this year, but might start next year. I probably can't go through all these teams, so I'll just try to pick out something to say about each of these guys. Chicago Bears, Luke Riddenauer. Luke Riddenauer is the basketball. I'm always getting Luke Dalfume. I was calling him Luke Riddenauer. There's a lot of letters in there and a couple of syllables together, so that's how it comes out that way. Son Reddick, we talked about Eddie Jackson. I knew he was going to go high in all these leagues. I'm not a big Eddie Jackson fan. Not a big Curtis Samuel fan either. Sorry, Luke. I think Eddie Jackson would be an okay safety. I'm just not a huge fan. Cleveland, Ed Carpenter usually drafts very well. William Jackson, I love. O.J. Howard, I thought a little early for me. But I can see what people like him. Corey Davis is a guy, I just don't like him at all. I don't like him. I didn't see the separation. Didn't see the speed. I know he's got the size. Not a huge fan of Corey Davis. I had him, I really didn't want him at all, to be honest. I had him buried way down. So we'll see what happens with him. Gary Conley, I like Gary Conley a lot. Injury history is a concern. If he's healthy and fine, I like him a lot. Very, very good player. Monte Nicholson, I like. Strong safety for Washington. James Conner, not a fan. Gerald Everett, not a huge fan, but it's a late 4th round. It looks okay. That's not bad. Tim Williams could be a surprise sleeper. I like his pass rush. We'll see if he ever does more than that. Desperados, John Baldwin. TJ Watt, number 8 overall. I like him. Chidobe Awuzie, I'm not a big fan. I have a feeling he's going to go much higher in these drafts, and I like him. I think he's all right. I think he's a pretty good corner. More of a 4, perennial 4s and 5s mixed in than anything else. I just don't like his quickness. He's a little slow to react, I feel like. Quickness. You got to react quickly. Running back cutting, certainly cornerback responding, trying to defend a pass. The quickness is so important. So I had a lot of corners I liked more than him. I don't think he's bad. I think I preferred him like a round later. He's only kind of okay, I think. We'll see. George Kittle, 3rd round, decent tight end. Caleb Brantley's got a lot of upside. DeMarcus Walker's got some too. So interesting little group here. Dallas Cowboys, that's Mark Lepage. Excellent GM and drafter. Carl Lawson, 3rd round, 74. A lot of people love Carl Lawson. I think Carl Lawson's pretty good. I don't like him as much as most, but I never would have thought he'd be there at 74. The way that people were talking about him, I figure he's going to be a mid to late 2nd round pick in our league. So at number 74, I like him a lot. So I think it's a good pick there. He's got a lot of upsides. Matt Breida in the 4th round, I like that pick. Is a 3rd down type of back in the NFL, and I think he can do that role very, very well. So to get him in the 4th round is really nice value. Willie Henry is a good run-stuffing defensive end. I like him in the 4th round. And then, last pick of the day, Olean Darkwa has a very good rookie card for a coach who's competing at the highest levels of the league, trying to go to Super Bowls and win championships. So you look at Mark having no picks in the first 2 rounds. having a mid-3, 2 4s, and a 5. And you get Carl Lawson, Matt Breed, and Willie Henry. That's pretty strong drafting right there. So I'd say good job by Mark Lepage. No surprise, as I said earlier. Detroit Lions is Paul Power. I've got the power. Deshaun Watson, number 1. Juju, number 19. We already spoke about those guys. And here, a couple of guys I really like a lot. David Njoku, number 32. I like David Njoku a lot. I really like him a lot. I think he'd be one of those tight ends with like that, 13.8, 14.2 average, who gets the big yardage on flat pass and who gets the, the long gains, on some spots of his card in short pass and can maybe go deep a little bit. I really like him a lot. And I'm hoping to maybe get him on one of my teams, but there are other needs and other players I like. So, he might not make it to me with my other teams. Dan Dawkins, I like a lot. I know he's banged up right now, but late second round, good place to get. We know the offensive linemen fall. You know what to win because it's a double counting league. But it had to hurt Tim. He was talking offensive line, and both Dan Dawkins and Garrett Bowles went right before, and he was selecting 54. I didn't get either of those guys. Quincy Wilson, I'm not a big fan. I know he was, he's not even like easily securing down a starting position right now. I think he is going to start, but something in his tape missing, and he's very mature. Adrian Colbert, I like in the 3rd round. I think he's pretty good looking free safety. And the rest of these guys aren't bad either. Trevon Coley, decent starting defensive tackle. Austin Eckler, it's a late 4th round. I'm not going to ding the pick. Early 4th round, not going to ding the pick. I thought he would look quicker for the type of back he is. So his video highlights disappointed me a little bit. He does have a decent car, but I don't think Paul's going for the year. Connor McGovern. I like Connor McGovern only because he's, you get him real cheap and he's a starting guard. I couldn't tell you that I've watched him block. I don't do video work on offensive linemen. But hey, you get a starting right guard near the end of the 5th round. If he pans out, maybe you got a guy for 6 or 7 years there. And look, if a guard is like a 4-5 or something every year, you can use him at right guard. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's one less position to fill. And, another one where you check one off the box. I'm hoping Ethan Pochich can do that. I had Graham Glasgow, but then he moves to center for the Lions, so I had to trade him away. And then, of course, Travis Frederick gets ill. So I had J.C. Treader, Graham Glasgow, and Travis Frederick. So Glasgow, who played guard for me as a 5-4, but I'm not going for the year. He's moving to center for the Lions, so I got to trade him. J.C. Treader, I don't need him in the center, so I have Travis Frederick, so I trade him. I trade those guys away, and then Frederick gets sick. I was like, oh, come on. This team is like snake. Seems a little snake bit, but we'll try to fight through it. Green Bay Packers, the commissioner. I like Christian McCaffrey a lot. 21's a good spot to get him. Surprised Reggie Ragland was there at number 51. I know it was a 0 against the pass. But, big name from Alabama. But he's banged up right now. And he missed all of his rookie year with injury 2 years ago. And to be honest, he's a big linebacker. I thought he'd be faster. When I watched his highlights, he was not, even in college, not as fast as I thought. So I'm not huge on Reggie Ragland. But not a bad spot to get him late 2nd round. Dan Feeney, I like late 2nd round. Well-regarded offensive guard for the Chargers. Had a fine rookie season. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a really good guard, like a 5'7" type of guy in the very near future. Grand Rapids Rampage. Dave Maldlicker. Number 1, Dalvin Cook. 18th overall. Great spot to get him. Keller Witherspoon, I think, has some ability. He's an intriguing corner to me. I think he's at least going to be solid 4s. But he has some ability to definitely do more than that. Let's see if he can do that or not. So hard to say sometimes with some of these young players that were not the most highly drafted. Takaris McKinley's okay. I'm not a huge fan. I like Charles Harris better if you're looking for more of a project pass rushing end. Although I think McKinley's scheduled to start and Harris isn't. I think McKinley's all right, just missing a little something for me. I wouldn't have taken him quite that highly. I like him more maybe the middle of the 3rd round. Chris Godwin, I think, is a pretty good receiver. He's on that Football Outsiders top 25 list. You're getting him now. Once you're getting into mid-3rd round AW, I'm going to be very forgiving with a lot of these picks. And Godwin, I think, is pretty good. He's got a mid-3rd round. It's pretty nice. Dr. Foreman, 4th round. I'm not a big Foreman fan, but he's not bad. That's a not bad spot to get him. And even Nathan Peterman near the end of the day, near the end of the 5th round. There's a good chance he's going to qualify next year. Josh Allen will probably struggle mightily if he plays a lot. Peter won't Peterman will probably qualify. And they say he's been playing well in camp. You could get a good completion percentage, believe it or not, low interception. Haha, serious. Low interception, game manager type of card. Next year, and then you flip that for something else because Jimmy G and Tyrod Taylor are still in the building, I believe, for the Rampage. The Hamilton Tiger Cats. Tramon Williams was the first pick. Number 14. Why? He's 35. Joe. My friend Joe Sardo, I'm playing online with since like version 1. Joe, please. Oh, you know, like you can't get Joe. You need to ID. You need to card your first round pick. Okay. You want the guy who might not be able to get served a drink because he might not look like he's 21. You don't want the guy who looks like the dad at the bar. Okay. Please. We get an age limit on these guys. How about make a rule? No one over 28 can no one over 28 can be drafted in the first round unless he's a quarterback. You can take Brandon Whedon if you want, or Case Keenum. When those guys float around. Man, why? I got to try to move on because I'll be stuck on Tramon Williams for half an hour. Ben Gideon, late second round, not bad. I think he's a decent player. He's one of those third linebackers in a 4-3 that doesn't get many reps, but Strat has to card him, and they gave him a decent rating. So we'll see what happens. Strat needs to work on that 4-2-5 maybe. Strat's got it tough, man, with all these different formations in the NFL. Houston Texans only one pick, but it was a good one. Joe Mixon, good player. I like Joe Mixon. A little high for me, but I like him. We'll see. I think he's going to be good or only average. I don't think he'll suck. So we'll see. Number 25 for Nathan. That's all he gets is 3 seconds of airtime. He's only had one pick. LA Charge is going to have to do. I'm not used to that yet, but it's growing on me, especially with the powder blue uniforms. The Chargers, that's Paul Half and Half Banquets, no picks in the first 3 rounds, but he takes Jamal Agnew, who Dennis knows well. Excellent punt return card for the year. Supposed to do it again and did it well last year. Also from the area, San Diego State, which is where Paul lives out there somewhere. Jordan Willis, a big defensive end / outside linebacker. I'm not a huge fan of his, but he has some ability. They have a lot of players there ahead of him if he's going to be a down lineman. Samaj Perine is kind of slow, but he also has power. And we know that Darius Geis, unfortunately, got injured for the year in Washington. So not a bad pick there, late 5th round. I think he gives you a little bit this year as well. LA Rams, that's Michael Reeves. Traded up to Patrick Mahomes to number 2, not bad. Marlon Humphrey at 33. I like that pick at that spot. I like Humphrey. I think he's good. I think he has a lot of ability. Something was slightly missing to make me absolutely love him, but I feel pretty good about him. And I think it's a decent spot to get him. Let's see if he comes through. Samson Ebukam, I think he's being overdrafted. I don't mind him. Number 63 is a little too high for him. I have other guys I like better. Zay Jones, I'm not really a big fan, but it's the late 5th round. What are you going to do? Michigan Panthers, my friend Mick. Adoree Jackson, 13, looks like a good player. Kenny Golladay for Northern Illinois on the Lions. Mick's a Lion fan. I'm not going to accuse you of being a homer here, Mick. I like Kenny Golladay. I like him a lot. I think he's a legitimate number 2 type of receiver, maybe an above average number 2 long term. One of those guys who gets the good average. He's not the number 1 on his NFL team, but maybe gets 60 catches and like a 15.9 average or something, and a nice looking strat card with some long gains and stuff on it. So I like Kenny Golladay. He's already a 5 long passing this year. Corey Clement, I thought about drafting him, decided not to. Went for a defensive player instead. I think Matt Milano. I like Corey Clement. I think he's pretty good. I know they use a committee over there. There's nothing wrong with those committee backs. He would have been nice on my team, but I tried to. I don't know. I may regret passing on him. I like Corey Clement. I think he's a pretty good player. Jam Brown, I'm not that big a fan of, but I like the other three. I'm not. I like Golladay and Clement certainly, and Jackson makes sense. I'm not the hugest on him, but it was the other 3 guys were already gone anyway. So, in some ways, I like Marlon Humphrey better than Adoree Jackson, which might be Blasphemous. But there you go. Now I'm mumbling, so hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Montreal Alouettes, Claude blew up his team last year. Had 2 1s, a 2, a 3, and a 5. Ryan Ramczyk solid, Zach Cunningham solid. Jamal Williams, mid-second round. I think he's a decent all-around player. A little early for me for him. I'd have rather taken a player elsewhere and maybe taking Corey Clement then somewhere else. Maybe Claude. Claude probably likes Jamal Williams. Jamal's not bad. He's kind of a all-around decent back. Taywan Taylor, third round, should be the slot receiver, I think, for Tennessee. It's a third round. Not a huge on him, but he's all right. Elijah McGuire taking a flyer for next year because he'll be out for the year this year. Not huge on him either, but okay. Like Ramczyk and Cunningham, certainly. The Patriots, Jeff Smith. I tried to trade him for Frank Clark. He said no. He's a Seahawks fan. Kareem Hunt, number 7. We spoke with him. Budda Baker, 30. I love Budda Baker. Great player. I just don't know what Strat's going to do with him. But he's a hell of a football player, boy. So I'll be curious to see what he ends up doing in Strat. Jabril Peppers, 47. I thought I'd like him more. He's not as fast as I thought he was going to look, and I know he was quick, which is weird to say for a guy returning punts as a safety. I'm not a huge fan. I certainly had Justin Evans ahead of him. Part of with Peppers, he hasn't even been able to put away Derek Kindred for the starting strong safety spot with Cleveland. It's what I was telling people last year about Paxton Lynch. If you can't beat out Trevor Siemian 2 camps in a row, how good can you possibly be? So Jabril Peppers is supposed to start or split time with Derek Kindred. Derek Kindred's okay. But, if you're Jabril Peppers, first-round pick, supposed to be this great athlete, you have a full year under your belt in the NFL now, and you just can't easily seize the strong safety job in Cleveland from Derek Kindred, who's okay and workmanlike, but not overly athletic by NFL standards. That's a red flag to me. So those other guys I would like better. 4th round, Tano Capasagon, however the hell you pronounce it. I like his upside. He really is excellent pass rushing upside. So I like getting him here in the 4th round, where it's autumn win 4th round, 30 teams, and you're trying to find players. So that's not a bad move. A little bit of a project, but I think he's got some upside. We'll see if he develops it or not. Justin McCray in 5th round, just like Connor McGovern. Hey, 5th round, starting offensive lineman in the NFL. I'll take it, especially at guard. All he's going to do is be like a 4-4. I can use him. And I read good things about him from last year. Nick Fannett, I'm not a big fan, but it's a 5th round. The Seahawks have no one else. He's lumbering, but a good blocker. So not bad. So decent little class there for Jeff. The New Orleans Voodoo that you do. That is Butch Shramick. Evan Ingram, 1.23. Marlon Mack, 255. I kind of like Marlon Mack. I'm not sure that he's as good as I'd like, but he might not be bad. He reminded me a little of TJ Yeldon, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Just the style of build and player he looks like. And but he might be all right. I kind of like him. That's not a bad spot to get him. He's supposed to be the starting back. We'll see what happens. G.D. Westbrook, I like a lot, actually. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but for what he is, a small, unheralded receiver with a lot of speed, he uses it to his advantage. A lot of times, these smaller, fast receivers, they just don't know how to use their speed effectively. But I like him a lot. I like him. And I think he might end up putting up a nice average and stuff like that. So I like him here. Markel Lee, I like with the naked eye. Butch got me upset when he drafted Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I didn't have any more picks for the day, but I thought he was going to slip. He's one of my deep sleepers. I love him with the naked eye. I don't think he's really starting right now. Taco Charlton, I'm not a huge fan, but it's the 4th round. And look, 4th round, and they want him win. And Butch gets Markel Lee, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and Taco Charlton. That's a nice job. Even when the guy might not come through, like if Taco doesn't come through, I don't think Taco's ever going to be a star. I think he can be like a 5-6, 5-run, pass rush 6 type of defensive end. These things, that's a lot of value to get in the 4th round of a 30-team league. Trent Tell, I'm not a huge fan, but he's a slot guy. Joey Mbu, very big man. So forth, that's his best attribute. The Saints is Gene LaFleur. I need to wrap this up. This is page 5, Sur 8, as Claude sends us. Page, I don't know the numbers. What is it? Antoine, toi. I give up. Page 5 of 8. Saints, Jean Lafleur. Johnny Flowers, Marcus Williams, we spoke about. Dalvin Tomlinson, number 2. Number 40 overall, very, very fine player, very solid player. Moving to 3-4 defensive end and probably not providing a lot of pass rush there, but you don't need that much pass rush in order to win, so a very solid player. Some people thought I was trading up for him, but I'm comfortable with my defensive end position a little more than the secondary, certainly. So Shaq Griffin for me over Tomlinson, for those who are wondering why I passed on him at 39 after trading up into 39. He's a good, solid player. Nice pick there. Kenny Moore, 369, scrappy guy, plays well. Maybe a hair early for him, but he might do real well. He might become the slot corner and get one of those 5s or 6s next year. I like Kenny Moore. He's scrappy. I like him better than Quincy Wilson. Kenny Moore's scrappy and heady. Quincy Williams Wilson is like the opposite. There's a little bit of a head case. Wayne Gallman, 385, very good card for the year at this point in the draft anyway. And I think he's got some future ability. He's a backup there. Personally, I think Jonathan Stewart is done. You can put a fork in him. And Gallman, he can be part of your running back stable, hopefully. Maybe one of those guys who gets 60, 70 carries a year with a decent average and some receptions. Nothing wrong with that. Ryan Switzer helps for the year. He's a good return guy, and he'll probably be a returner somewhere in the NFL this year. I think Oakland picked him up real cheap. New York Jets, which is usually me. It's so weird for me to be talking about someone else's team as the New York Jets. Maybe I can make a trade with Doug for the rights to the team name. Leonard Fournette, number 9. I like Leonard Fournette. And he slimmed down. That could end up being a franchise-changing pick when you already have Aaron Rodgers. Keelan Cole, I'm not a big Keelan Cole fan. I don't see it in him. A lot of receivers I like better, but I could be wrong. B.J. Goodson, on the other hand, I like a lot. Very impressed with him for a 3rd or 4th round linebacker, and you get him here at number 60. I know the pass grade wasn't good, but the quickness is there. I read a lot of good things in camp. I was hoping he'd be there for me in the 3rd round. Doug said no, he will not be there for you in the 3rd round because I'm taking him at number 60. B.J. Goodson strikes me as a very heady ball player, too. His college highlights, he was always directing the defense around very ably, probably calling the signals. I like what I saw of him. Ricky Seals-Jones, 3.72, a lot of athletic ability, intriguing player. Not a bad player, maybe a little high for me. A lot of tight ends similar to him that I liked in this draft. Many of them haven't been selected yet. Darrell Daniels was one of those guys. So I don't have a problem. They pick slightly higher, but again, you're not picking again until selection 101, so you don't take him here. You might not get him. And then selection 101, Chase Roulier. Probably very popular in French Canada. A starting center for Washington, it looks like. And you get him in the 4th round. Starting offensive lineman in the 4th round, yes, please. I'll take them. So nice job there. Rayshon Jenkins in the 5th is apparently popular. I'm not sure why. I don't like his blank videotape, but he must be getting some good write-ups because people took him a little higher than I thought in Strat-28. The same thing happens here. I think Paul Mankiewicz said quote unquote good pick to someone who took him in Strat-28. So we'll see. I'll have to revisit the player in advance of this Amifa draft, given that guys are drafting him more highly than I thought. Cordrea Tankersley, a little frustrating. Very athletic player, has the talent. Something's missing. Something's wrong. The grades were horrible. He's not playing well in camp. He's going to start because they have no one else probably. They released Tony Lippett. So they got this guy, Torrey McTyer, and they're trying to bring veterans in. But it's a late 5th round. So why not? He might be starting this year. If he gives you 4, you're happy. And he has athletic ability. So if someone can get it out of him, that would be very helpful. Okay. So I like this. I don't like Keelan Cole, but Fournette, P.J. Goodson, Ricky Seals-Jones, Chase Roulier. Nice little group there for Doug Riley. Oakland Raiders. Oh, Tim, you're killing me. Why did Tim and Paul do this to me? Why Tim and Paul, Tim Bollier, and Paul Halfman Half Mankiewicz are two very smart, very successful, very shrewd strat GMs and head coaches who year after year, time after time, are throwing away draft picks on guys who appear to be lousy quarterbacks. I don't understand it. And so far, I've been validated. Now, in Tim's defense, when he drafts lousy quarterbacks, he waits until the late second round, or in this case, the third round. Paul has been using first-round picks on them often, although he used a late second-round pick on DeShone Kizer in Strat-O-Matic. Now, mind you, these guys usually already have a good quarterback on their team. Paul has had Drew Brees in SoMeFA since time immemorial. Since literally the first year of the league, like 15 years ago, he's had Drew Brees on it. That's been his quarterback the entire history of SoMeFA, 15 years. And yet, 4 or 5 years ago, he started drafting Christian Ponder in the first round, Blaine Gabbert in the first round, Geno Smith early in the second round. Tim Bollier, God bless him, drafted Tony Romo in the third round once upon a time in SoMeFA. And I don't know if you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle again. He drafted Johnny Manziel in the third round when he was already rehab Johnny. Drafted Paxton Lynch in the second round in multiple leagues, I think. I'm not sure. I think he might be on this team. I'm not sure. And now DeShone Kizer. What are you guys doing to me? Are they trolling me? Am I being trolled with the selection of horrible-looking quarterbacks that everyone else thinks is horrible, but two of the better GMs in the Strat community seem to like these guys? And I'm thinking of doing some research to have a contest. Who likes to draft shittier quarterbacks more, Paul Mankiewicz or Tim Bollier? Both of whom are very good otherwise. DeShone Kizer. You could not have had a worse season. Unless maybe your name was Paxton Lynch. Why are we drafting him in the early third round on a team that needs players? Tim's told me, well, look, if the quarterback comes through, he's worth so much more than anyone else I could take there. Okay. But most people don't believe DeShone Kizer is going to come through right now, Tim. Most of us believe that. Would the Packers give up a bag of footballs to trade for him? That's a ringing endorsement? Just because it was proven last year that Brett Hundley sucks? I know Kaiser's got a strong arm and he's a big guy and he shows some things. So I'm not saying I don't mind him a little bit. I think he has some ability. After him. So all you got to do is find out, all right, where does Paul pick? Let me make sure I'm one pick at him. I'll take the shitty quarterback there. I don't need to take him here. Kizer, Soze. So we'll see what happens with Kizer and Paxton Lynch and Blaine Gabbert and Christian Ponder and Geno Smith and Johnny Manziel. We need to have an intervention. Guys, you need shitty quarterbacks anonymous. You guys need to stop it. Just say no. You need to go Nancy Reagan on these lousy quarterbacks. Why do you like them? The rest of us know they're lousy. They keep proving they're lousy. They have proven it year after year after year. Why? Because once in 10 years, you might hit with a guy. You're a good drafter. Draft someone else. Tyler Moton's starting on the offensive line for Carolina. That's a fine pick. I'm not a big Marcus May fan, but it's a late second round, and at least he's a starting NFL free safety. That's fine. I got to look at that. I got to look and see who Tim should have taken. In my not so humble opinion. The short answer is anyone else. The long answer is Justin Evans looks pretty good. Larry Ogunjobi. Everyone loves Larry. Football Outsider top 25. Good grades from PFF. Kenny Golladay on a holiday. Tim likes pass rush. Carl Lawson. Tim, how about I'll give you Larry Ogunjobi or Kenny Golladay. Three of those guys look like good football players. I'll tell you which one doesn't. These guys are killing me. And these are smart, shrewd, successful, accomplished draft football GMs. And I don't know for the life of me why they keep throwing away these valuable picks on these terrible-looking quarterbacks. Kaiser's got some ability, but I don't know. I know Brady's getting old. I don't get it. Maybe one day. I don't know. It's a mean thing to do. And I'm friendly and we're friends with both of these guys. I may have to conduct a study. And we may have to see whether these two guys who are excellent players, excellent GMs, we have to conduct a study and have a contest to see who likes drafting shitty quarterbacks more, Paul Mankiewicz or Tim Bollier. I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be close because they just can't help themselves. Oh, they love it. Oh, they love it. Who's going to be, who got drafted after Lamar Jackson? If there's a quarterback that got drafted, drafted somewhere and plays some next year and he looks like he's going to be shitty, look to Paul and Tim. That guy will be on their teams. So if you want to beat now, you got to think of this also. If you ever want to beat Paul or Tim, if you really have your eyes on a shitty quarterback, you got to make sure you get ahead of Paul and Tim in the draft so you can get them. Do yourself a favor. Don't go there. Let them take the guy. There's only been one. It's always, I take these quarterbacks, and even if I have a guy, if he pans out, I could trade this other quarterback for a whole lot. I've been doing these shows. I've been drafting in good leagues now for a long time, certainly more than 10 years. And in the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, there's only one guy, only one quarterback that I've seen where the guy took the guy in the middle rounds, like this, 3rd round, 4th round, whatever, when he already had a good quarterback and the guy became good and then was able to get traded. That's Kirk Cousins. That's one guy. You can say it only takes one guy. Yeah, there's been like 25 quarterbacks taken in that time. There's been Brock Osweiler. I'm just the Broncos at 3 alone. There's been Brock Osweiler and Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch. Blaine Gabbert and Christian Ponder. And now Deshaun Kaiser. You gotta, yeah. I had to look, but I think I looked a few months ago. I'm pretty sure Deshaun Kaiser did not fare well in the ESPN Total QBR predictor stat. Marcus May. I wish he looked a little quicker, a little more athletic. Had some trouble diagnosing defenses. Had a bad pass coverage grade. I'm not that big a fan, even though I'm a Jet fan. Hopefully I'm wrong. I think he was a little bit of a reach for the Jets in the draft. I liked other safeties better. After I looked at the tape, I was like, why didn't they take? I mean, after the NFL draft that year, I looked at the highlights of the guys that Jets took. I was like, well, why did they take Marcus May over, Buda Baker or Justin Evans? So we'll see what happens. But at least he's starting. I can't complain. Late 2nd round. Taylor Moton, good pick there. Skura, I think I missed out on him somehow. I think he might be playing or starting. Kendall Beck with another fan, he's pretty slow. But the real problem is Kaiser. The rest of it's not bad. We'll see what happens. Oklahoma Outlaws. Okay. Ruben Foster, all-world player with all the problems in the world off the field. Let's hope that he stops it and decides he'd rather be a rich, successful professional athlete than an unemployed knucklehead. So, get him some therapy or something. Come on now. The Cowboys are very proactive with that, by the way. I mean, they helped them with Des Bryant. They're trying it with Randy Gregory. They have like professional staff where we're going to work with this guy. We're going to have like the equivalent of like a social worker to work with this guy and to talk with him and who understands his background and to talk about issues and to be a constant contact point and to help him. Look, some of these guys coming from backgrounds where maybe they haven't had the best parental supervision, or they've had a group of friends who are based upon the neighborhood or whatever, not always steering them into the most positive things. Because look, you're young. You're 16, you're 17, you're 18. Some of these guys, they could be from any background. It doesn't have to just be African-American players. Look, I didn't have much of a father figure growing up, and I was a bit of a knucklehead when I was a kid, when I was that age. But, now you got a chance to really turn your life around for a short period of time. The Cowboys, they've been that proactive with that. So more teams should do that. And hopefully the Niners can do that with this guy, because this guy is just off the charts as a player. Ruben Foster, oh my God. Larry Ogunjobi, nice pick. This is Sean Riley. Everyone likes Ogunjobi. Matthias Farley I kind of like. I don't know if he's going to start or not, but I kind of like him. Mike Hilton, very good-looking slot corner. And J.D. McKissic's one of my favorite guys in the whole draft. Why did I take him? Well, I don't know what kind of strat card he's going to get. He's he's an excellent receiving running back. Yeah. I don't know if there's a better looking receiving running back in the league, because he basically played like half wide receiver, half running back. They slotted him out so much in college. He's catching passes down the field more like a small wideout than a running back. So he's going to have a role in the league as long as he's healthy. I think he's a little banged up right now, but I'd like to get him on one of my teams. I didn't get him on this one. The Eagles, very nice. So nice job by Sean Riley. Ruben Foster is worth the gamble, even though it's number 12. I probably wouldn't have gambled there, but I cannot argue with it because he's so good. This guy had no second-round pick. And against Ruben Foster, Larry Ogunjobi, Matthias Farley, Mike Hilton, J.D. McKissic. Nice job there by Sean Riley. Philadelphia Eagles, Dave. Traded up for Alvin Kamara, 115, no problem there. Garrett Bowles, 252, good place to get him. P.J. Williams is a 4 for the year. Looks like he could be a decent 4 type of corner for the Saints now. Anthony Walker starting for the Colts. Painfully slow linebacker. I don't like him, but at least he's playing. That's the 5th round, so can't complain. Dave Will, the dude, did a good job keeping time. Got Marshawn Lattimore, number 3 overall. Great player. Joel Adams, number 31. That's where you want to get him. Great spot to get him. He could have gone certainly as high as 18. Nick Martin, good-looking starting center who had some injury problems. Hopefully they're behind him. He's got bloodlines from his brother Zach, and it's in the 3rd round. Matt Hack has a punter, and it's picked number 93. That's okay. Curtis Riley came from nowhere. Might be starting for the Giants at free safety. That's okay. Rasul Douglas, one of my sleepers, might be a backup this year. Might be a real good slot corner next year, a 5'6" type of guy, a bigger slot corner. I like him a lot long-term. I think he can play on the outside. One of my sleepers, and good spot to get him. I was irritated when he took him because the one guy I was hoping for maybe on day 2, but he wisely didn't last there. So nice. I like Dave Will's class here. Lattimore, Jamal Adams, Nick Martin, and Rasul Douglas. I like all that. And the other guys, you need a punter, and Riley might start at the 4th round. Why not? SoCo, Southern California Sun. Desmond King, 234. I got to talk about Desmond King. This guy's like, why is Desmond King slipping? Why don't you like Desmond King? Things like that. Desmond King. Let's start this way. Similar to Buda Baker. This guy can play football. Desmond King looks like a great player to me. However, he's so small. I feel he may be pigeonholed into a slot corner position. And this year he could play the outside, okay? I know that. But in the future, he might not be able to. I could see him becoming one of those limited slot corner guys. And in San Diego, we know Casey Hayward is going to be on one boundary. And it's a weird situation there for strat coaches to figure out because they've got Trevor Williams and Desmond King. To be honest, they both look like they might be better suited to the slot. But Trevor's a little taller. I think Trevor can handle the outside a little better. And that's my only question with Desmond King. I don't know if he can play on the outside. And I don't know if Strat's going to pigeonhole him into being a slot receiver. And that's why those are part of the reasons why he slipped in the draft. Plus, he was a 5th-round pick. Hell of a player, but difficult to sort out. So it's Jim's issue now, but he got himself a hell of a player. He needs to hope that he can play on the outside in the years to come. But picked him at 34, you can't complain. Wes Schweitzer, pick 95, just lost a starting job to Brandon Fusco, but I suspect Jim needs him for the year. Chris McKean, one-time pass rushing prospect, 0.8, whatever. Not a lot of picks here for Jim. Only one pick in the first 94. So you're operating short-handed there. Shreveport Steamer, Rick Byrons. John Johnson, number 17. We've spoken about him already. Rick had no number 2. Aaron Jones, number 77. A lot of people like him. I'm not a big Aaron Jones fan. I think he's okay. I prefer Jamal Williams of the 2. Aaron can have an okay career, I guess. I'm not a big fan. The card helps. Rick goes for the year. Xavier Woods at 107. He's playing some safety for Dallas. There's been a lot of talk of Dallas being interested in Earl Thomas. And I think Xavier Woods is one of the reasons why. I think he's way too slow to be playing deep safety and even strong safety. He's a hard hitter. I'm not a big fan, but it's a 4th round. Nazir Jones, I kind of like. 5th round, 129, 2nd round NFL pick, I believe. Shows a little something. Not a bad pick there. Maybe comes around eventually. And they took a kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, also in the 5th. And you need a kicker, you're going to take a kicker, so too bad. DVD, Captain Blu-ray, Dale Van Deven. St. Louis Cardinals as we get near the end. Trubisky, number 4, I spoke about it already. You need a quarterback, took a quarterback. See if it works out. ESPN total QBR predicts failure. Matt Nagy. Everyone in the world is a huge Matt Nagy fan right now. Oh, Matt Nagy is an offensive mastermind right now, folks. Do me a favor. Check with me in October and tell me if he's still an offensive mastermind. Well, Trubisky has some growing pains. People just overreact, man. Maybe Matt Nagy's an offensive mastermind. Maybe he's in over his head as a head coach. Maybe Trubisky's not going to be good no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the coach is. Maybe Trubisky's going to be real good no matter who the coach is. Really? The way to view Matt Nagy right now is we don't know. Because he had 4 good games calling plays for the Chiefs. With Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And a veteran Alex Smith. And Kareem Hunt playing well. And some other players I like. I like DeMarcus Robinson a lot. Long-term sleeper for Kansas City for me. Unfortunately, he's stuck behind Watkins and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but maybe a few years he'll do well. So check with me in October about Matt Nagy's genius. Okay? They start off 0-3, and they average 14 points a game. People are going to change their opinion about him in a hurry. Guys, it's okay to say we don't know yet. Because the truth about Matt Nagy is we don't know yet. Maybe he's going to be a great coach. Maybe he's going to suck. Maybe it's going to be in the middle. We have no idea. Sean McVay proved it last year. And until he proved it, we didn't know about him. It's okay not to know. We don't know about Matt Nagy. So let's just, ease up on the gas a little bit there, okay? But we'll see what happens this year with Mr. Nagy. I wish him well. I have nothing against Matt Nagy. I hate when people just get so hyped up in one direction with seemingly very little justification. If you want to give me a very thorough, reasoned, well-informed opinion on why you know that Matt Nagy is an excellent head coach and why he has definitely going to develop a quarterback the right way, then by all means, tell me. I'm all ears. But Andy Reid's done it with a lot of different quarterbacks. And I know the offense picked up when Nagy started calling the plays. Calling plays and developing a quarterback are not the same thing. It's not the same skill. And when you're the head coach, you have to do more than just deal with the quarterback. So even if Nagy is real good with young quarterbacks, we don't know how much time he's going to spend with Trubisky when he's trying to handle all of his other responsibilities. I'm sure it's plenty of time, but I'm sure it's not as much time as it was back when he was a quarterback's coach or even an offensive coordinator. The proper frame of mind is we don't know about Matt Nagy. Hopefully he does well. There's reasons to be encouraged. But please, guys are just Guys get, I don't know, people get so carried away, so quick to make a statement about, oh, they got Matt Nagy now, all is well. Can we see the Bears, get a good drive going maybe against Detroit or something first? Can we see the offense, start clicking? You know, who's a good offensive coordinator? Sean McVay. I know it because I saw it last year. I didn't know it until he started doing it. And you got to do it for more than a game. Do it for a while. Let's see, Kyle Shanahan's a good offensive coordinator. I saw it in Atlanta. I saw it with Jimmy G, even though that was only a few games. But can we let a guy show a little more first before we're quick to give him the old accolades? And Matt Nagy, jeez. Suddenly this guy is, the greatest offensive innovator since Sid Gilliam or Paul Brown or Bill Walsh, who comes from the Paul Brown tree. Can we coach a few games? They have a good defense. They can coach at all. They should. Look, they have a good defense. They just got Khalil Mack. So if this guy can coach offense at all, then you tell me that the Bears should be a winning team this year. So let's see him do it then. You got Jordan Howard. You got Allen Robinson. You got a decent line. Adam Shaheen's not bad. You got Miller. The wide receiver doesn't look too bad. You got Tariq Cohen, jack of all trades. We got Trey Burton, Philly special. So everything. So if Matt Nagy can really coach and Trubisky can play, there should be no problems with the Chicago offense this year. That offense should be pretty good. So let's see if they do it. Speaking of which, Tariq Cohen, 246. Decent, interesting player. Sometimes guys like him just do better in real life than in Strat. So I think it's a little early for him. But I kind of like him, but I'm intrigued. But we'll see if he can do something that translates to Strat. His squad's not too bad this year for the off tackle and stuff. Jordan Lewis, I'm not the big a fan either of him. Adam Butler, I like as a pass rushing defensive tackle. Got some ability. Jake Elliott's a kicker. Eddie Vanderdoe's got some ability, but he's always injured. Jesse Davis starting from Miami at guard, although he's got already a bit of a track record of being bad. But it's a fifth round starting offensive lineman. Why not? St. Louis Rams, Gary Nagata. He's going to get short shrift. Need to wrap up the show. The guys at the end are always getting short shrift. Yeah, I see the end coming. I start rushing. Gary Nagata and Mike Ramos. Gary Nagata. Myles Garrett, number 5 overall. Nice. Kim Robinson, I spoke about, not the big a fan. Pat Elflein, I didn't like the rookie grades. So not thrilled with him, late second round. But he was drafted reasonably in the NFL. Ohio State guy. Maybe he can come through. Robert Nkemdiche, I'm not a huge fan of his tape. I feel like I'm getting mixed signals on him from the preseason. It is a third round, though, and he's starting defensive tackle in the 4-3, so why not? Laquan Treadwell. There are a few players that I hate more. I just think he's a bust. Don't think he's very good. I don't think he'll be long for the NFL. Harrison Butker, I like him. Best kicker to get in this draft. And a young one was doing great for Carolina last year in camp, battling Graham Gano, but Graham Gano was also doing well. So at Carolina actually tried to stash him on the practice squad, and the Chiefs grabbed him. Those are all good signs to make me think maybe he's a real good young kicker. Duke Riley, outside linebacker, is not bad. 4th round, he's supposed to start for Atlanta, although they're going to play 2 linebackers most of the time, just like that Ben Gideon situation in Minnesota with a lot of these 4-3 defenses. But he's not bad. He's got a lot of athletic ability. He's got to get a little better, I think, with his play recognition and stuff like that. He's certainly quick and fast. So that's not a bad place to get him. Rigoberto Sanchez, obviously worth a selection on name value alone. How many times do you get to draft a guy? Do you get to draft a guy named Rigoberto? Rigoberto. Forget about it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I like Myles Garrett. Nkemdiche's not bad. We got him. I like the kicker Butker. I like Duke Riley. But Cam Robinson, Pat Elflein, Robert Nkemdiche, Laquan Treadwell. Those were not, the guys were not highest on my list. I would have liked to see, Deion Dawkins or Garen Bowles instead of Cam Robinson.
I like Billings, Andrew Billings over Nkemdiche a little bit, but I don't mind Nkemdiche too much there. And Treadwell, I'm just not a Treadwell fan. I know it's late third round, so Tampa Bay Bucks, Mike Ramos or Ramos, if you want to pronounce it properly. Tre'Davious White, number 6 overall, very very good player. Jarrod Davis didn't grade that well against the pass, but did against the run. Has some athletic ability. I thought he would look a little faster in his highlights. I'm not a huge fan, but he's not bad. It's the second round. I actually like B.J. Goodson better, even though he was drafted much later in the NFL. Josh Doxson, again, a draft pick chase, first round NFL pick. He's got ability, but he always seems to be hurt. It just seems like a guy who's never going to happen for, but we'll see. Adam Sheehan, I like in the 4th round, 96. Big tight end, faster than you think. And I don't think he's ever going to set the world on fire. But, he can get you, 42 catches and a 12-yard average and some good blocking and be a solid player for you. And John Halapio was a nice add in the 5th round. Giants traded Brett Jones after the camp battle with Halapio. Halapio is going to be the center for the Giants. And Giants will be much improved this year. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not. Some questions on defense, especially with the pass rush with JPP gone and not adequately replaced. But the offensive line should be much better. The Giants should be at least 8-8. I can see them as like an 8-8, 9-7 team. And that's the show. Draft recap all by myself for quite a few hours. And I think the league drafted pretty decently. There was a string there where I was really liking the picks. I had a weird draft. Not a lot of sure things in my draft, which is weird for me. And Kevin King, Justin Evans, Matt Milano. My last 5 picks: Kevin King, Justin Evans, Matt Milano, Andrew Billings, Ethan Pocic. So there's a little more questions than I usually like. I like Derek Barnett and Cooper Kupp a lot, that's for sure. I bet I took them both in the first round. All right, guys, this is Tom. You're probably listening to this on Saturday evening, September 8th. Well, that's when it's going to be available. Catch you later. Bye-bye.